if we're going over.
She's gonna be doing what?
She's gonna do this. If
Like,
Okay.
is it the you spin me right round, baby, right
So
round?
we'll be super aware.
As long as you don't say that with a tune, we can say that.
I know. Well, that's why I was just saying it and not singing it.
Yeah.
Not even with rhythm.
Perfect.
Move on? Okay, fair enough. Hey, everybody, welcome to the Wednesday Club. Yay! That's my name and my Twitter.
You don't even have to say it. It's on the screen.
Nope, there it is at the Mac Key. There it is.
You said it.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't ruin anything.
No, it's like if we say it backwards and you have to go back to the 11th dimension, but like,
Yektam Hit.
that's pretty good. I don't know how to say my name.
No, you can barely say your
man.
name forwards,
barely.
Taliesin.
I can say Spider-Man backwards. Nammy dips.
Aww.
I mean, it's kind of not fair that like my key's easy. My name is easy to say backwards because it's two.
Yik.
It's Matt Key, so it's
Tam.
Yektam.
Yiktam.
Fragnicelat?
That's pretty good, actually.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to accidentally banish you anywhere.
Anyway,
No,
hi,
pretty
welcome to
good.
the Wednesday Club. I'm Matt Key at the Matt Key. That's my Twitter, and this is.
Oh, this is Taliesin Jaffe.
Fragnicelat?
Yes, there it is. If you
I mean, this is actually strangely appropriate as we're talking
Yes.
about
It is.
Superman. Yeah.
Absolutely. Inventing
part of
all
the
the
plan.
tropes that we will bend our lives around in the decades to come. Hi, I'm Amy Dallen.
Today, we're going to be talking about Superman. We're going to talk about Superman, year one.
1938.
Dateline, 1938. June. Wait, no, April. But first.
There's a reason he said June, wait, no, April, don't worry.
Yeah, don't worry. Well, that's a whole other episode.
whole
this
thing.
episode.
That's a whole later this episode.
That's a whole later.
That'll be a whole different.
That's a whole later. But for now,
we're rocking it.
We gotta move on. Okay, we gotta do the Daily Wednesday.
Excellent.
Do it, Chief. Bib it up.
That's
I've talked a lot.
fair.
Start on that side.
Do you want to start or?
We'll be taking things out while we're off screen.
Okay.
Yeah, Taliesin, stop cheating, Taliesin.
It was there, and I felt like cheating. These are these things that happen. Carry on.
With that one camera.
Okay, we have a package. Amy, Matt, and Taliesin.
Ooh.
That's us.
It starts with you, so that makes sense.
Sure. Woo! Physical photographs.
What?
I can feel the texture.
Everyone at home, please find a photograph right now and touch it. So this is feel of
You'll
Yeah,
get.
it's a touch along with kind of, what is this?
Oh yeah.
Okay, we probably don't have clearance to share these.
How we doing, Liz? Keep.
I can't tell if that's move along or you people are crazy. I'm not sure.
Oh, I'm really excited
Oh,
about
wow.
this.
Okay, so
Okay.
you can't show the pictures.
Dear Amy, Matt, and Taliesin, this package is a long time coming. Last, when I wrote, I told you I was heading to India and was planning on picking up Indian comics. Unfortunately, my plan of ordering them from the store, sending them to me here in Australia, and then sending them on to you didn't work, as you need an Indian credit card to buy things. However, I can send you other things. When I was picking up my sari, I found this amazing shawl that said Molly Mock, but
Oh.
really it just said Taliesin. Side note, this sentence was written before the events of episode 26.
Wait, what happened?
at it!
Oh my God.
Oh my God, that is beautiful.
Well, this is everything. There we
That
go.
will be in the desert next week.
That will be in the desert.
Oh,
And it'll be on me because I'm gonna steal it.
look at all the patterns.
Cannot wait to see you try.
Oh, it's beautiful.
I cannot wait to succeed. That
This
is
is
gorgeous.
fabulous. This is fabulous.
The comic was what I picked up when I got back home. Ooh. I foolishly decided to go to the local Supernova convention in my home city of Melbourne the next day after not sleeping for 36 hours.
I feel
Crazy.
I'm glad I did, because I picked up this Australian comic called Killer Roo. The Australian comics industry is thriving. On Free Comic Book Day, while all comics were 10% off, the Australian ones were still full price to help local creators. Bless you for going with that. I have provided photos of the comic show for them at All Star Comics in Melbourne, which we will enjoy because we don't have
this
clearance
cover.
to
I think
share.
actually here I'm gonna open it up because it's good. The glare. This cover is kind of spectacular. So.
Ooh, All Star Comics in Melbourne has won an Eisner Spirit Award. This is me subtly wanting an
Ooh.
episode on Comics from Down Here, or maybe one on Tom Taylor. I'm not picky. Nice.
That is
Nice. Killaroo.
that is a kangaroo that has had to deal with some shit.
Killaroo.
That is a kangaroo that is sick of your shit and probably
And he'll tell you.
and is smoking a silk cut. It's
Oh, the other gifts are badges I picked up from the Avengers Station exhibit.
Yee! Oh, that's so cool.
Look at that Thanos. Thanos is having a good day.
And
Wait, look, there's a Doctor Strange on this.
There's a Doctor Strange on that.
Oh, and this is 1970.
oh, radness.
Oh my God.
This is Gene Colan, Doctor Strange.
Oh my God. Oh my God. There's so many good ones here. Oh, that wasp is amazing.
Oh,
And
that
a
wasp
pair-
is amazing.
Yeah, and a pair of Superman socks that are super comfy.
Yeah.
Last thing I want
Poignant.
to put forward was after your European episode, I realized I had to tell you about two awesome pieces of Tintin things. The first is the documentary Tintin and I, all about Hergé, based on interviews he did in the 70s or 80s, and his depressive state he was in during some of the comics.
Oh, whoa.
I have not seen this. The other is the Tintin BBC radio plays. They are really fun, and Snowy is voiced by Andrew Sachs or Manuel from Faulty Towers.
That's so cool.
That sounds
That is
adorable.
amazing.
This is where I end this letter. Thank you for doing this every week. As I told one of my fellow Alpha mods, woo, mods! This show is the start of my 4-day weekend every week, which I end with our mods' home game, 2 groups, 5 to 6 players each, 1 Scottish DM. Headed to a unification game soon. Good luck with that.
Amazing.
Unification games are fun. Love, 4-time topic giver, Alpha mod, and drinking game creator, Lady Amphi.
Oh,
Hashtag
Lady
stay hydrated.
Amphi.
There's a PS, and I'm scheming it to make sure it's an okay to share PS.
I have to just say this is a tiny kangaroo with a machine gun. Which,
That artwork is fantastic.
yeah, no, I'm really enjoying. There's a lot of very angry kangaroos in this book.
You tell
Yes.
what's our spoiler policy for Critical Role? If this is
You have 10 seconds, and I will wave my hands like this when it's over. You can go away for like 10 seconds. Yeah.
Okay, PS I have a
All right,
non-comic book.
so like spoilers.
Spoilers.
Yeah. I have a non-comic book story to tell. Fellow Alpha Mod Patch's 4-year-old daughter was watching CR episode 26. She stopped watching before the last fight began, so was unaware of what happened. The next day, Patch told us this story. We discussed how Taliesin plays a character in the game, and the character is dead. She knows that we all die. This is a 4-year-old. She wisely asked me, does he still get to play? I told her yes, if he wants to, and Matt says so, but Tal will have to play someone else. Her response was something along the line of, well, maybe he could be a rainbow unicorn fighter superhero.
And done.
So Taliesin will basically play himself if that was the case. And I don't know when this letter was sent, but good job.
Yeah. No. Well. Yeah.
Yeah, good job.
I somehow knew. So that's exciting.
Lady Amphi, thank you so much. We're done
Lady
with the
Amphi,
spoilers.
yay.
I know they're not exactly spoilers at this point, but
No, you're done.
It's
Yeah,
explicitly
spoilers are done.
about that.
That was like, what, a month ago? Maybe.
It was a month
6
ago.
weeks,
I know. I mean, like somebody's always catching up, though.
Oh, yeah, I'm the one with the boxes.
You're the one with the
Yay!
boxes.
That was a great letter. Thank
was
you.
amazing. And
we
this-
love your pictures.
There you go.
This is. I'm going to be living in this for a while.
I'm jealous.
You can borrow it a little bit. Actually,
Thanks,
here,
buddy.
Here, I want to see what it looks like on you.
Ooh.
All right. This is happening. Tiny bags of air.
So good. Yay!
Oh, I love
we love
air
air.
bags.
Oh, went up so quickly.
Don't actually inhale them.
I don't see why not. All right. Sorry, that's my bad joke. Okay, here we go.
Oh, you're beautiful. Man, your bangs sort of peek out of a headscarf very nicely.
Do they?
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. It's got
Wear
a,
headscarves more often.
Dear Amy, Taliesin, and Matt, it's
That's us.
fine to read this out loud. Oh, in such
Thank
clear handwriting. Hello, and thank you to you three, to Chief, and to the crew who work so hard on the show.
Oh, that's so nice.
Right now.
I love it. when
What you all do is so much appreciated. Thank you. When I first saw the Wednesday Club, I got a strange feeling I could not quite place. It was like someone cleaned off a window, letting me see back into my childhood, where my sense of wonder and love for comics were strong and bright.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Squeegee. Many years of personal issues had left me unable to feel such things. We get that. Until I saw you three for the first time. From that, I cannot thank you enough, but I can try. It's one will do, but thank you. This is great. I recently discovered and rescued a storage tote packed full of old comics from my mother's garage. That's the best. You find something.
That's so fun.
Inside, I found the 3 gems I have enclosed with this care package. Oh, I'm excited. As I have no idea which you might prefer or which title, I'll leave it up to you to decide who gets what. I hope you all enjoy them. Thank you so much. J.M. Pickering.
Oh, I'm so excited. Here.
And I've got to just say, just because this is a lost art, this is extremely clear
Good
handwriting.
letter.
Well, and like, I just love that it's handwritten. That's so nice.
It's handwritten and it's just clear handwriting. Which
Yeah.
is just the thing that.
Well,
doesn't-
what?
Isn't that amazing?
God, it's beautiful.
Yeah, it is my soul on silk.
What was the gentleman's name? Pickering?
Pickering.
Jan Pickering.
All right, this is about to happen. Let's see what we got.
From the garage of the mother of J.M. Pickering.
We have Frank with a. See, I wanted to talk about this at some point with a foil cover.
Nice.
Yeah, we do need to do that
Yeah,
someday.
foil. Look at that foil cover.
Foil covers.
Foil cover. Frank's got a feeling. From Nemesis Comics, which I've never heard of. I'm
Yeah.
excited.
Dennis Cowan.
More Frank, and I gotta say, this while like I love a good foil cover and all, this is the cover that excites me.
Is it Frank? Is a comic on Frankenstein? Then?
It's apparently a Frankenstein comic book, and look at that. And like,
Who is this publisher? Who is Nemesis?
I've never heard of Nemesis. I'm excited though.
Dennis Cowan worked all over for sure.
It's a little got a Comics Code stamp even.
1994.
Oh my God, more. We got a bunch. It's a 4-issue miniseries.
Oh, I love that cover.
Look at that final. Look at this final Frank cover. My God, that's some good stuff. That's some dark noir-y stuff.
Woof.
The Extremist. I remember this.
I don't know this
is a lot of
one.
Peter Milligan. Oh,
Milligan is great.
this is a.
Wait, is Milligan really?
Yeah, this is a 4-issue
Vertigo.
like mid-tier Vertigo run from
Yeah.
like
1993.
I'm gonna say like mid-90s. Thank you. So this is a lot of fun. I think you'll really get a kick out of this.
Yeah.
Oh,
Ted McKeever and Peter Milligan have both done a ton of major comics work.
I love the. Okay, these two have to be taken together.
Okay.
These two covers are spectacular.
Oh wow.
Wow.
Yeah, I remember really enjoying this when I was a kid. That's exciting. Oh, that run is so good.
I haven't read this one.
Oh, it's really fun.
So this is 1996, and a title which, by some sort of sheer uncopyright pertaining coincidence, is very dear to me.
House of Secrets. Oh, this was my
I see
favorite
this
cover.
image everywhere. Yeah.
This was the great cover for House of Secrets.
It's, of course, the classic title of
yeah.
a horror anthology that has gotten reused in different times and places for different things. And this was a Vertigo run from 96, 97
look at that.
by
Never
Steven
read
Seagal and
any
Teddy
of these.
Christensen.
Have you and of course, I mean, you know, have we talked about how the original House of Secrets and House of Mysteries were the two houses in the Cain and Abel? The Cain and Abel, one each lived in one of the House of Secrets and
Really?
House of Mysteries.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool.
And
live- Where are we on making you read Sandman?
I'm around like the 7th trade, I think.
oh, so yeah, so you've already Cain and
I
Abel
just maybe
live.
don't remember.
They each one lives in the House of Secrets and one lives in the House of Mysteries. They're on like opposing hills, and that's
And
where
those
the
are
comic
linked
I
to
remember
the
that they
old
lived in different houses. I just
anthologies.
didn't remember.
Those houses are the House of Secrets and the House of Mystery, building on their sort of
Original
horror
comic
host
run.
personas from the
Whoa.
70s horror comics.
So that's the same characters still
Unbelievable.
in the Sandman universe, still in the same, and the houses still contain all the books of all those terrible stories.
I thought Gaiman made them up. He did not.
He did not. Nope. He just knows where to borrow and
Wow.
when.
What? Even more brilliant.
I know. It just makes it better. These are exciting. I'm excited.
These are wonderful.
to
They're
read
great.
these.
Thank
Wonderful.
you.
All right, we've got.
I'm so into
Liz
this.
is doing this, but she's also doing this. So I think that means 3 minutes.
Okay,
right?
panic.
Is that right, producer Liz?
Yes.
Okay.
Amy made me buy some Sandman when I was at the shop the other day.
She does that.
Yeah, she does that.
I mean, have you started?
Not yet.
I'm excited.
Okay, this is okay to read on air, and I'm gonna have to, since I've only got 3 minutes, Liz. To the Wednesday Club, this letter comes as 2 parts. The first, a gift for you all. The second, words of gratitude.
Aw.
I've been watching the show for just over a year now as I write this, and in that time there have been fantastic updates to the set, including the wonderful table that bears the Wednesday Club logo. It would be a shame to see something so lovely be damaged by an errant rogue coffee mug, so I've enclosed a set of colorful hand-dyed ceramic coasters
What?
that I hope you will enjoy, even if they are not destined for this particular piece of furniture.
Okay.
Ooh, okay.
I have to pause because it was amazing. Partway through that sentence, it sounded like you were a cool mob enforcer who was like, "Nice table. Be a shame if
Shame
something
I know, I had that
happened to
same
it."
thought. I was like, "It's a shame if someone ruined it. This looks like a job for Superman."
Should get some coasters for that. Sell them.
All right, I can't.
$250 a piece.
Okay, take it easy.
There's a part here that I can't read just yet because we haven't gone through the box. Now on to the sappy part. Earlier this year, I made a big leap into adulthood and moved into my first apartment.
Congratulations.
Huge move. Congratulations.
It's a rough one. Congrats.
The first few weeks away from home held many major learning experiences, including the agony that is applying for new jobs. To keep my mind off of hearing, or not hearing, as was mostly the case, back from potential employers, I turned to the Wednesday Club. This show was a bright spark of happiness that kept me going. I am proud to say that I now have a job that I'm absolutely in love with, but the caveat to that is that I'm not able to catch your show as often as I would like to. Unfortunately, being an adult sometimes means having to stick to a bedtime. And she does
Yeah.
the like blank face.
Bedtime sucks.
But I will always be grateful for what this show has done for me, and I'm sure many others in similar situations. Your words about bad brain days are something that I think about each day. Anxiety has a way of making you feel like if you don't do everything right or don't have every right answer that you have failed. And I have allowed that anxiety to drag me down far too many times. But because of your words, I have started learning how to let myself make mistakes and to not take myself quite so seriously. A bad brain day does not mean a bad brain week or month or year.
Yes.
I am slowly allowing myself failure and learning and growing from it as much as I am able. Thank you for bringing so much joy back into the world. The enthusiasm that you all bring to the table each week is unreal, and you each bring such insightful thoughts into whatever topic is at hand. Your show made the leap into the world of comics that much less scary, and the community behind the show is so welcoming and supportive. It really is something else. You all should feel very proud for what you have created and what you continue to put forth each week. I wish the three of you all the happiness that you have given to us, to all of us, and that the next time you go to the comic shop, you find exactly what you're looking for. Stay awesome, your friend Miranda, at the Pandaranda on Twitter.
Thank you!
That's so
Congrats on the job!
Yes.
Congrats on the
my
job. I'm sorry
Congrats
you have
on
to
the
be an
job you
adult.
like. My God.
Yeah. All right. So there's two things in here,
Oh.
but all right.
What do you got?
I'm not sure it's from a good run, but I saw it in the comic shop and couldn't resist sending it your way.
Oh, it's Captain Boomerang.
Can Flash survive the deadly assault of Captain Boomerang? You must read Road to Oblivion. That's a Dick Giordano cover. Look at that.
Oh, look at that's just hot. Look at that.
All right. Now I'm gonna get the coasters out because we got
Captain Boomerang is so ridiculous.
I love him.
I love Captain Boomerang. Oh, these are really
Ooh,
very pretty.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Oh.
Wow, we have multiples. Oh, these are so
Oh, they're
pretty.
beautiful.
Ooh.
There we are. That was mine.
What? How was these made? They're beautiful.
These are gorgeous. Yeah.
There we are. I'm going to use one because I'm going to be
I'm
a
going to
proper.
show off a couple of
Yeah.
these.
These are beautiful.
I'm going to be using the pink one. There we are.
Oh, wonderful.
Let's put
Yes.
them here. And I will take the orange one. So pretty. All right.
Oh, just wonderful.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm sorry that we had a kind of.
Barry's
Let's do that
teaming
last
up
one.
with Sandman in the JSA. Sorry, I'm just having fun.
Oh,
it's Wesley Dodds.
awesome.
It was
Oh, it's-
1979. Carrie Bates is writing
good
it. Alex
year. Good year.
Savivic is the artist.
Batgirl got knocked unconscious.
Sure, you know
Yeah,
what happens.
Like it happens.
Well,
Wonder Woman saves the astronauts.
And Wonder Woman and the astronauts enjoy fruit pies.
This is real.
Okay, hold
show
on.
That
This
page off.
has
Show
to
that page
happen.
off.
This has to happen. All right. Sorry. We just got distracted by. That is in fact.
Wonder Woman saves the astronauts.
Brought to
you by Hostess Fruit Pies.
amazing.
That is amazing.
I'm so happy.
Miranda, thank you. This is such a nice gift. Thank you.
Oh my God.
What?
I'm trying to losing radio control. Rocks and dust wiping out screen. Can't locate Earth. Can't locate.
Great Hera! How can we guide them back to Earth? What signal will get through? I know. I'll drop something they're familiar with.
Inside the shuttle, they spot the trail of Hostess fruit pies. And the cry goes up,
God.
look, real cherry filling, real apple filling, tender like crust too. Hostess fruit pies. You can only get them on Earth. Let's follow them down.
Home sweet home.
Thanks to you, Wonder Woman, and the great attraction of Hostess fruit pies. Oh my God.
Wow.
Yes!
Wow.
Yes! She pipered them home with zero-G Hostess fruit pies.
Yeah, no,
Which they
that's-
could see from their shuttle.
They are a beacon.
That is amazing.
I am so pleased by all of
Comics
this.
are amazing.
I as part of today, I was also reading a little bit of Super Gods, which makes me just love.
What is Super Gods?
Super Gods is a book written by Grant Morrison about the notion, both kind of a little bit of history of superheroes in comic books, and also kind of a look at the existential notion of why we like superheroes, what about them is interesting, why we are attracted to them, why the stories with them are very, very good. And Grant being Grant, it's a wonderful, wonderful read and a lot of fun.
It's a fantastic
And he
book,
definitely
yeah.
he does a lot of Superman at the very beginning. That covers a lot of Superman, and so I was kind of picking up for today's show topic.
Yeah.
So could I use one panel to transition us in?
Yes, please.
Oh, yeah.
At the end
please.
of Action Comics #1, they make one of these boasts that you put in books that doesn't usually turn out to be literally true. But so begins the startling adventure of the most sensational strip character of all time, Superman. A physical marvel, a mental wonder, Superman is destined to reshape the destiny of a world. More true than they could possibly have known.
So true.
What are we talking
Yeah.
about today, Matt?
Today we are talking about Superman. We titled it Superman Year One, but it's the literal year one of Superman. So 1938 to 1939.
A lot happened in 1938 to 1939.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
Lots, but not much of what you would recognize as Superman that we have today, which is pretty interesting.
I love. Yeah, I pulled some of my favorite covers. So as we go, I'm going to be very excited. So there'll be a lot.
Yeah. All right. Did I do that right, Liz?
Sure.
Cool.
God, we all want validation, don't we?
All right.
Liz, I feel that.
Oh, I thought you were.
I thought you were going to
You
start.
had
Okay.
a plan.
You had
I was
a-
trying
you had
not
a
to get
plan.
in the
Okay,
way of it.
so I want you all to indulge me, and I want you all to close your eyes. Everyone at home, I'm going to paint a picture for you, and I think this is important to understanding Superman.
Let me know if you want.
Not the TriCaster. You guys keep your eyes open.
Drum beat or anything. Or
Okay. Great Depression has happened. Your family is out of work. You used to be moderately successful. You maybe had some income, but it's all gone. And you are just two Jewish boys living in Cleveland in an America that is just does not accept you for who you are, right? Okay. So you're in high school, you're bullied your entire life because you love science fiction magazines, you love pulp novels. That's all you do. You want to be able to talk to girls and you can't do that. And all you've got is just your raw talent. And you've got a family saying you can't do it, right? Okay, so at this time, keep your eyes closed. I know it's going to take a second, but just go with me here. At this time, the predominant form of comic book is newspaper strips, and it's been that way for 20, 30, 40 years at this point. So much so that in 1933, Funnies on Parade comes out, or Famous Funnies, Funnies on Parade, a circus of comics. Those are the only comics that exist, and those are reprints of comics. So the job that you want to get as an artist and a writer is in newspaper strips, because that's where the money is. No one knows what these comic books are. They're stupid. They're just reprints. They're not a proven form. They don't matter. They don't count, right? So you're coming out of the Depression. You're poor. You're trying to make ends meet. The biggest thing that you can do is write a great science fiction or comedy piece for a newspaper. And then Joe Shuster and Jerry Siegel have this idea for a superhero. And they start going to magazines with him, and no one wants to take him. No one wants to take the publications for the newspaper. No newspaper wants to take him, right? Until finally, so it's 1932. You can open your eyes now. Okay?
oh God, it's 1932. How did you do that?
All right, so you have I'm trying to just contextualize this for everyone, right? And visually give it to you. 1932, Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster meet and they start collaborating. 1933, Funnies on
Which
Parade
one's
comes
from
out.
Canada? Siegel?
Shuster.
Schuster.
Schuster's from
I had a
Canada.
50-50 shot.
So newspaper strips are reigning supreme. Pulp novels, sci-fi, detective stories, superheroes don't really exist. They're not a proven thing. So 1933, Siegel comes out with The Reign of Superman, The Reign of the Superman, about a bald villain who is tricked by so this guy, Bill Dunn, tricked by an evil scientist into consuming an experimental drug, and the drug gives him mind reading, mind control, and clairvoyance, and then he uses them for evil. And there's only 5 copies of this that exist. It was in one of Jerry Siegel's 3 fanzines that he created when he was 18. And Joe Shuster did the art for all of them. They try to sell their various comic strips. This is before even Superman. They had other ideas. They were trying to sell them to newspapers. Yeah, there it is. That's one of the remaining 5 copies that exist in the entire world. The Reign of the Superman. And that bald guy, that's their Superman.
By Herbert S. Fine.
Yeah, that was his pseudonym because he didn't like being Jewish at that time.
It was a rough way to
time.
get hired in New York at the time.
They tried to sell their comics. They're not selling. Everyone wants something more sensational. They're like, this isn't sensational enough, kids. So they revisit the Superman idea and they start revising that, deciding, oh, a hero's going to sell better than a villain, so let's make Superman our protagonist. So they go down that road for a while. From 1933 to 1937, so for 4 years, 5 years, they're revising it. They're making copies of new comics, putting them out there. They have a fight in the middle of it where Siegel's like, I need to have a more seasoned artist. You're too young. You need to get some more work. I'm going to go try to work with these guys. And he's 20 at this time, never published, and he's going out to artists. He went to a guy named Russell Keaton who was drawing Buck Rogers. He went and
Buck Rogers was a massively successful comic strip.
So he's going to like it would be like me going to Fiona Staples and be like, hey, I really want to work with you. Here's an idea that I have. But he was doing it because the kid had moxie, and these guys were listening to him because the stories weren't bad. So they put together another comic book for Superman. It's rejected by the McClure Syndicate around 1934, 1935. They keep going back out there. They revise and revise and revise. Then finally, in 1935, they meet a man named Major Malcolm Wheeler Nicholson.
You have heard this name, and you shall hear it again.
This guy is hugely important in the creation of the comic book medium. He had National Allied Publications. His comic, New Fun Comics number 6, he published Henri Duval and Dr. Occult, the 2 first comic book strips that Siegel and Schuster ever had published, right? Like actually published in a major magazine. So they showed Wheeler Nicholson's Superman, but only in the hopes that he would get it to the McClure Syndicate or another newspaper. Because again, they don't want to work in comics.
Well, because that job doesn't exist yet.
That job doesn't exist. It's not proven. No one really buys those. They want to do comic books. They want to do 4 panels every day for the rest of their lives. That's all they want to do, right? The Major proves himself to be an incredibly bad businessman. And in 1936, he brings in Harry Donenfeld and Jack Leibowitz and forms Detective Comics Incorporated with those 2 guys. Then by the way, Detective Comics sees the publication of Slam Bradley, also Siegel and Schuster.
Wait, was it already called Detective Comics?
At this point, yeah. That's,
okay.
I mean, according to the research that I did, yeah.
Interesting. Okay, go on.
I mean, it was National Allied, but they started, I think maybe this was like a subsidiary of National Allied or something. And then they did Detective Comics number 1 through that. So in 1937, Siegel visits with Siegel visits with Leibowitz, where he's asked to create some stories for an upcoming series called Action Comics that they want to do. Siegel and Schuster were in negotiations with McClure for Superman to run in newspapers, so they did not pitch Superman for Action Comics. This is in December of 1937. 1 month later, January of 1938, Max Gaines tells Siegel that McClure has rejected. Max Gaines, remember, started EC Comics. He tells Siegel that McClure rejected Superman, but he wants to pass the pages on to Leibowitz. Siegel says, sure, why not? It's a comic book. Don't really want to do that, but why not? At least it's something. Leibowitz likes it, requests the strips to be turned into 13 pages of content for the Action Comics. They submit in February and were paid $130 for their work, which is $2,200 in today's money. And this included handing over the rights to their hero. Now, here's the reason. This is the reason I give you all of that background. For 5 to 6 years, they were trying their hardest to just get Superman out there. It was their pet project. It was their baby. They just wanted to get it out there. Comic books are not a proven medium. This is probably just going to be a fad that goes away. In their minds, they're like, sure. You can keep it for the comics. You're going to fail. We'll get it back, and we'll continue to put it back out into the newspapers. So it's not a huge deal. Like, I don't know that was their thinking. I'm projecting.
Well, there's
But-
also the thinking that like we're gonna just keep working, we're gonna keep creating. We just you're gonna sell your first job. You're not gonna be a big winner.
Exactly. And on top of that, they're being told by
What are the odds
everyone.
that the first one that gets out there is really going to be the one
Yeah.
that goes?
Yeah.
It's
Not only that, they're being told by every publisher for the last 5 years that no one wants superheroes. They want detective stories. They want sci-fi. They want going to outer space. They want fantastic space adventures, Buck Rogers, stuff like that. Then there's also John Carter of Mars, and like that's what people want. They don't want superheroes, like just plain superheroes. So for them, it's like, well, this is what we love, but it's not going to sell. We've been told that it's not going to sell. It's proven itself for 5 to 6 years now to not sell. By the way, we're only 23 or 24. What do we know of the world? No offense, 23 or 24-year-olds. There's a lot more to the world than what you know.
everyone's going to be taken advantage of once.
And then,
young.
also in 1938, Donenfeld and Leibowitz petitioned DC into bankruptcy and purchased the company at pennies on the dollar from the major, and he goes out of business for the rest of his life and never touches a comic book again because those guys are screaming assholes. Anyway, thank you for letting me monologue. I am sorry, but like, I felt like it was important to set the stage.
Oh no.
For where Action Comics comes in, because if you look at it in the context of the history of that time, it makes sense that they sold it for $130.
It does.
Like, it sucks, but it makes sense because at that time they're like, yeah, no, yeah, 130, yeah, that's a lot. That's $1,100 a piece for us by today's standards. You know, all right, yeah, I'll sell that, and I get my name out there, and I get to make a living doing this. Yeah, that's great, fantastic. So, there. That's my spiel, and now we can talk about Superman and Action Comics.
Well, I mean, like, and at some point, I will say also, there's a broader conversation to be had about copyright law and how it works and how it's kind of broken. It's very, very broken. And if copyright law worked the way it was meant to be, none of this would have really been a problem. And then there was, of course, the kind of the insane, never-ending legal battles that still exist to this day between DC Comics and the not Siegel and Schuster's families now. I have a wonderful picture, by the way. Here we are, boys and girls, meet the creators of the one and only Superman. Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster, and those are the pictures of them that appeared in one of the first issues of, I believe
I think this was like Superman #1.
This was Superman #1 after
About a little over a year after Action Comics began, when they spun him off into a magazine of his own title.
And this mentions they both live in Cleveland and are also the creators of Sam Bradley in Spy, which appear in Detective Comics, Radio Squad, which appears in More Fun Comics, and Federal Men, which appears monthly in Adventure Comics. So.
Also, I love Joe for saying, I hope the boys and girls of America enjoy reading Superman as much as Jerry and I enjoy writing and drawing it. Thank you for remembering us, a huge part of your reading audience.
Yeah, that is actually. I saw that page, but I didn't read it. But I think it's really cool that he said boys and girls. Like, girls can read comics.
There was a
back
time
in 1938.
There was tons of everyone reading.
Everybody read.
Anyway.
And it was interesting. What eventually ended up happening with this, of course, is that at the very least, and I do mean least, Siegel and Schuster did eventually get a deal out of DC Comics where their name has to appear on anything having to do with Superman. You have to say created by Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster, and they got, and this is an embarrassingly small amount of sum, $20,000 a year for life was the payout for Superman, which is.
It was later increased towards the end of their lives, but like.
After a lot of fights over who owns Superboy, who owns Supergirl, who owns Crypto, who owns Krypton, a lot of interesting stuff like that. And part of that, I believe that came about because of the shaming that happened during the film. I can't confirm this story, although I'm trying to find
Neil Adams
confirmation. Well, the story we were always told in L.A. because was it Siegel or Schuster who ended up crashing the Superman movie premiere in the 70s accidentally.
I've heard the story, but don't remember which of them.
It was the Superman premiere in Westwood Village, which was a big deal in LA because they built a full-size Superman statue in flight that they put on top of the Village Theater, and it was this beautiful thing. You'd be in Westwood. They did this anytime there was a Superman movie in Westwood. There'd be a giant Superman in flight over the theater. It was really beautiful and like really striking. And apparently at the red carpet, they were interviewing people in the crowd, and they came across one of the creators who was actually like, yeah, this is amazing to see this thing that we did is like
At the time, it
living
was
on.
40 years after the creation of the character.
Yeah,
This is 1978.
Yeah.
And they said, "Are you here for the premiere?" And says, "Oh no, I'm an office clerk. I work a couple blocks down, and I was just passing by, and this is really cool." And it was so embarrassing that DC was like, "Money, just stop, money, shh, go to sleep."
I've heard that too. Like I've heard that like at one point, I think Schuster was a delivery boy and had delivered mail to the DC offices.
Oh, yeah, it was. I know it was a bad look. It was like it was like the earliest version. It was the pre-internet social media disaster.
Yeah. Well, it was like that's a great early example of like, ooh, these are some bad optics. Like
That doesn't look good.
that looks bad. Like this is not a good look for us. Yeah.
So and that legal battle at some point will probably like start to cover some of the just because I think it's really fascinating. Then what aspects of the Superman universe become debatable as property of Siegel and Schuster, because like there are things they didn't create, like Kryptonite is not a creation of the comic books, which I'm sure we're going to get into a little bit. But like there are things canonically about Superman that they didn't do, but there are things that either they did or that they have a seeding for. It's very fascinating. And I was just going to start. If we're going to start, let's start with Action Comics number one.
Yeah, Action Comics #1. So Action Comics
Look at
number
that.
1.
One of the most important covers. Oh, I don't even have to do that. There's so much fucking. So
first of all, this is cover dated. Here's the part where we're going to get to it that we teased earlier. Cover dated June,
June 38.
but it hit newsstands in April because Leibowitz.
That's
Leibowitz, yeah, this is normal, but Leibowitz's thinking there was, oh well, if it's on the stands for 2 months, it'll look like it's still new.
Yeah.
And he's not wrong.
No,
Which
it
is
worked.
the standard across comic books. And I'm curious to what extent it held true for magazines. Like, if the September issue of Vogue, when does that come out? And
Is that out in like June?
maybe
no.
not 3 months ahead, but
It's-
the typical thing for comics back then was about 2 months ahead.
2 months, yeah.
There's and so I did just read Super Gods, Grant Morrison's book, which does have about a 5-page breakdown of this cover, where it's just pages of just talking about the cover. There's so much.
There's so much going on.
So there's no text on the cover other than the title of the cover. There's no explanation for what you're seeing. You don't know who Superman is.
Is he good or bad?
You don't. Well, I mean, like if you look at this picture, there's nothing to indicate who these. Like he's actually, if we can get it back
The
on
word Superman isn't on it.
No, there's no. If you look, it's a man in a suit who looks a little threatening, trashing a car as people who don't have the normal signifiers of being villains, which would be the hats or the coats or guns. These might as well just be passerbys, are fleeing in terror. There's, I mean, and beyond the brilliant composition of it and just getting all of these characters interacting with each other, the fact that this is actually
and like the spacing of the work, like
it's like that perfect X that comes together. The cape is giving you the kineticism. The cape, without the cape, you can see it's just a man lifting a car. With the cape, it's a man throwing the car because you can see his forward movement. There's, oh my God, there's just so much happening.
And interestingly, I'm curious if we have a story behind this specific composition of the color and cover, because it's an expansion of a panel for the book.
Yes.
And so one
You're
wonders.
mid-story.
Yeah, one wonders what the process is of saying, like, we need a cover, take that one and redraw it bigger.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but like action, like Superman in that comic was one of like a few other stories.
Yeah,
like,
several
Superman,
other features.
like,
He doesn't get the cover again until number 7, I think.
yeah, I don't think he gets the cover
Zatara?
again
Quite a while.
Zatara.
Who I'm very excited about.
Maybe even November.
It was 6 or 7, I think, before he gets the cover back. I took some notes.
Yeah, I
on
think
that.
it's like
Lost them.
I think it's 7. Yeah, it's number 7. It's the December. So this comes out in April, and we don't see him on the cover again until December, which I guess would probably be about
And
There we go.
November.
I have a lot of feelings about the costume design. I think it's one of the most brilliant pieces of costume design.
Well, and
ever.
again, like costumed heroes did not really
No, this was new.
exist. This was like
So, and we can do and we should actually, I'd love to put on our schedule a whole separate episode about like the sources of Superman. Because variations on all the stuff we're looking at existed, but they didn't come together in this form until this time in this book.
yeah, there was John Carter of Mars was one of those, one of them. Gladiator was a book I remember
It gets
reading
mentioned
about
a lot,
couple
but I haven't
times.
read it.
Well, so Gladiator here. So he was super strong, bullet resistant, could jump over about a mile in distance.
Superman can jump 1/8 of a mile.
Yeah.
It's very specific
And
at the beginning.
the description for the science behind it was, well, think of an ant and think of a grasshopper.
Very specifically.
Like very specifically, and then Action Comics #1 is he's super strong and he's bullet resistant and he can jump 1/8 of a mile, and just think about the ant and the grasshopper. So it's like, okay.
Do you remember how many stories he can jump in Action Comics #1? He has a maximum story height.
Does he really?
20 stories. It's a 20-story jump. He can go 20 stories up.
Wow.
Leaps 1/8 of a mile, hurdle 20-story building, raise tremendous weights, run faster than an express train. Nothing less than the bursting shell could penetrate his skin. A genius in intellect, a Hercules in strength, a nemesis to wrongdoers.
So a Hercules in strength is another tip off to the fact that, of course, there are other mythological and
Of
poetic
course.
sources. He gets compared to Samson in early comics.
I
He
mean,
gets
there
compared
are
to Hercules in
there
early
are
comics.
panels in here that if you took him out of the Superman Union suit and then put him into ancient Hebrew robes, yeah, it's Samson. He's tearing down a temple. There's pillars falling all around him. He just tore it down.
And just to put it in the conversation, although what's interesting is I have heard this referenced in a lot of stories about the creation of Superman, and I have not run into any sort of sources from Siegel and Schuster commenting on this. But I remember being very struck when I first learned about Siegel's father.
Yes.
I don't know if you were saving that for later in the episode.
No, go for it.
But part of the growing up experiences for these two was that Siegel's father was a shop owner in Ohio, and unfortunately, in I think 1932, was the victim of murder. Sort of still unsolved. It looked like the store was robbed. He was shot. But there is a sort of and this is again something I haven't read any comments from them specifically on this, but it's frequently presented in sort of discussing the origin of this character, because it is hard to resist the temptation as an outside observer to say, I too might invent the idea of a bulletproof man if I were in those circumstances and knew about a crime that was never.
Well, and apparently,
resolved.
one of the very first drafts that Siegel ever wrote was Superman saving a shopkeeper from being shot.
Yeah.
He's 17, 18. His father was everything because he was so bullied.
Some very easy wish fulfillment.
Yeah.
And again, which is part of, but not all of what makes Superman work so well.
And after nearly 10 real crappy years in the American economy and society, this guy comes on the scene and he starts just solving all of the problems. And can we talk about what he does in these early issues?
Look at this. Here we go.
Yeah.
Right here.
Yeah.
Look at that beautiful, beautiful image. There we go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Superman #1. Again, he can't fly. This is him leaping.
He's leaping. I also, do we want to do a quick run on the costume before we go?
Yeah, do it.
Sure,
man.
sure.
I want to talk about a couple things I love. This is the first version of the S with the S, which is the yellow triangle with the S, which I will say I really like the final '80s version of it that they finally settled on. But
I love all the S's.
They're
I'm
all
not-
great.
I feel bad. I should have real strong opinions, but I'm just cool. Like it. Like that one.
The
like that
movie,
one.
Christopher Reeve really locked it in with me. I don't know how. We have to discuss the underpants because I'm a big fan.
But you pulled some sources, right? Because we need to explain that this was not weird looking. It was cool as hell.
So
and the cape was very extra.
I'm about to show you a picture of a man in tights. This is a picture. This is a picture of a man in tights. I am currently showing. This is a circus strongman from the 1930s. He is wearing tights. He's wearing underwear over his tights and a giant belt.
And cool boots.
The reason why circus strongmen and circus performers in general.
Sure that's not a leotard with a belt?
That is well, you can see he's also wearing leggings.
Okay, yeah.
But you always had to wear that second layer because spandex had not been invented yet. So the full body leotards that you would wear during gymnastic events and any kind of feat like that didn't stretch very well, which meant that your crotch area. Have I covered this before?
No.
Oh. So when you would be doing these acrobatics or anything like that, you would tear. Tears would happen all the time, and your junk would come flying out. So you would wear modesty shorts. Performers would wear modesty shorts. You would have the underwear over your pants because the likelihood that you would tear in this costume would be very, very high. And this was a way of making sure you had a layer to protect anything from not being seen that you didn't want to be seen.
Oh my God.
So
amazing.
it became an affectation later, of course, and then
But there was a purpose behind
synthetic
it.
fabrics are being invented literally at this time,
Yes.
right? So yeah.
So anytime you would see a circus performer or like a performer of great physical strength or prowess, anytime you would see somebody do an acrobatic set, they would be wearing underwear over their pants because
They had to protect their decency.
because there were decency issues and you were flying through the air before the invention of stretchable fabric.
Well, and Schuster was obsessed with circus strongmen and stuff like that. Like well after Superman, he was going to the gym for like a couple hours a day. Like he was like bulking up because he was so used to being a thin, skinny, made fun of, picked on kid that he became obsessed with muscles.
It's such a circus show performer costume. Even the capes would be. I mean, like the flair for the dramatic for the capes, the big belt, the symbol on the chest, the patriotic coloring with the red and blue, which also means that you can put this character way in the distance of frames and they're still pop. The cape is genius. The thing I love about the cape is that it conveys movement when the picture can't. So you can show him leaping, and you can tell which direction he's moving just by using the cape to guide the kineticism of the panel.
It's really a brilliant. It's a brilliant move.
It has a function. Everything here is saying something and having a function. It created what is one of the most iconic costumes.
Although he has some yellow boot variations in these
There
early
are.
issues, and I like them.
Yeah, I like a little more
stylish.
yellow.
How's the chat? Are we?
Hi,
is
chat.
everyone on?
Chat says, please do cover the crotch area, Taliesin.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you, Chat.
Thank you, Chat. It's. I mean, like it's just a spectacular, and there have been variations and no.
I love the shoulder look.
Oh yeah, I'm pulling that up. I popped away from it because things happen. There we go.
Like the over the
Yeah,
shoulder.
that's an interesting one.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get it to. There we are. This is one I quite like. It was like the slightly Roman post boxing boxer.
And Miss
vibe.
Sunflower, if we have it
Miss
pulled up,
Sunflower.
Miss Sunflower.
we referenced the ant and the grasshopper, but we did not explain why we are doing that.
So that's
show off
Action
the page.
Comics page number 1.
I'm
So
pulling it
let's
up right
begin
now.
at the beginning, shall we? Let's show them the whole first page. Why not?
That's all right. Page 1.
Action Comics 1, page 1, probably cut and pasted from planned comic book strips into a page layout, a little less obviously than when they are standardized down to 8.
There's a baby with a chair. My God. There's a man leaping and lifting iron bars.
At this point, there's a planet dying of old age.
Yeah.
The
So
stated cause of death for Krypton in its first appearance.
A distant planet was destroyed by old age. A scientist placed his infant son within a hastily devised spaceship, launching it towards Earth. That's all we know about the origin of
that's
Superman.
all we know.
That's it.
That's it.
Action Comics number 1, boom.
There's a planet that died, and they launched a baby off of it.
A passing motorist. There's not even 2 people in the car yet.
Nope. It's not even Mom and Pa Kent.
And they turned it over to an orphanage.
Yep. Attendants, unaware of the child's physical structure was millions of years advanced of their own, were astounded at his feats of strength.
No,
Please show off that.
Oh yeah, no, we got to go because.
So
gotta show
here's
off
what's
the baby.
interesting, though,
Super
is
baby.
that
Chief's got us.
Oh, Chief,
Jerry Siegel
look at that super baby.
had the backstory. He knew it was Krypton. He knew Jor-El. Like, he already had those in scripts. He just didn't have it here.
Nobody wants to wait for your story.
No, you don't need it
Punch
yet.
things first.
Yeah.
Get their attention. I mean, you look at this baby. What else do you need to know?
No, that's all you need to know.
Here he is leaping an 1/8 of a mile and hurtling a 20-story building
That's the next line.
Yeah, he
the
can
next line.
raise tremendous weights,
and run faster than an express train.
and nothing less than a bursting shell could penetrate his skin.
Early, Clark decided he must turn his titanic strength into channels that would benefit mankind, and so was created.
Superman, champion of the oppressed, the physical marvel who had sworn to devote his existence to helping those in need. Why don't you give the scientific
It is
explanation
right
there?
Out front,
Taliesin?
champion of the oppressed. It's a slightly different meaning than we use today, but really not that different.
Really, in fact, he makes it very clear what Superman's about. A scientific explanation of Clark Kent's amazing strength. Ants, grasshoppers, what else do you need to know?
Kent had come from a planet whose inhabitants' physical structure was millions of years advanced
Wait,
to our own.
not Superman. Who came from the planet?
Kent.
Had they said his name yet?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, Clark.
Oh, early Clark, but they haven't said Kent yet either.
Wait.
That is actually pretty interesting.
They're just giving you context clues. They've said Clark and they've said Kent.
So
figure
here's
it out,
an
I
interesting
guess.
thing. They've said Clark once,
They've
and
said
they said Kent once, and there's no such thing as a secret identity yet. So
If you were reading this in 1938,
What?
tell us what you thought, please.
Yeah.
please,
Please write us.
we've called him Clark and called him Kent now. We haven't,
I don't think he was called Kal-El for a few years.
and yeah, we haven't even, nothing like that has come up.
Like, I think that came 10 years later, maybe.
So yeah, they've been quietly referencing his secret identity on page 1.
Yeah.
What?
Yep.
So he's got this power, and then it says, incredible? No, for even today, our world exists creatures with super strength. The lowly ant can support weights hundreds of times its own. And the grasshopper...
Man,
Evil wizard.
it'll be several decades before you show up.
And the grasshopper leaps what to man would be the space of several city blocks.
Evil wizard.
Yep. So that's that explanation. And then the very next panel is Superman flying through the air above a farmhouse with a woman, and she's gagged.
Leaping across the scene.
A tireless figure
Legs
races
akimbo.
through the night. Seconds count. Delay means forfeit of an innocent life. The governor's estate finally is reached.
Make yourself comfortable. I haven't time to attend to it.
He just drops her. He's like,
He is
whatever.
from page 2 a bit of a dick.
Look.
Oh, yeah.
Wait. I mean, he's not wrong.
He's not wrong, but he's a bit of a dick.
Kind of a
What do
dick
you
about
mean
it.
by knocking this hour of the night?
I must see the governor. It's a matter of life or death.
The butler is wearing this wonderful orange, nightcap.
Oh my God, and a
'cause
green.
His hair's up in curlers, I assume. See him in the morning.
I'll see him now.
Busts the door down.
Busts the door down.
This is illegal entry. I'll have you arrested.
Answer my question. Are you going to take me to the governor?
No, I won't.
Then I'll take you to him. And he picks
Him
Poor
up.
butler in his slippers.
yelling help.
Help. And this poor, the butler's just trying to do the right thing here. I was like, is the butler a villain? No, the butler just doesn't want this random home invader.
I was okay with the butler till we got to the big metal door.
Yes, this is the governor's sleeping room. Don't think you're going to get away with this outrage.
It's locked.
Yes, and made of steel. Try and knock this door down.
And he knocks it down.
And he rips it off.
So it's page 2, and he pulls the steel door off its hinges. So
So
if you're
he's-
sitting down reading this, in between your, cowboy and magician and other stories, you're like, what just happened? Who is this guy who dropped a woman on the lawn, forced his way inside, carried the butler upstairs, and punched out a steel door?
He's a villain so far.
Yeah,
he's
so
kind
far,
of-
this is home invasion
did
of the
say-
governor's house.
Forfeit an innocent life? That's
Yeah.
intriguing enough for me.
It's interesting. And then, of course, he mocks the butler with it was your idea.
Yeah, he did just, in fairness, he said, try and knock this door down.
And then he
Superman
did.
is very sarcastic right off, and it's real good.
It's a lot of winking.
Do you want to be the governor?
Oh, yeah. What's the meaning of this?
So happy you did that.
Evelyn.
Evelyn Curry is to be electrocuted in 15 minutes for murder. I have proof of her innocence, a signed confession.
Believing the governor menaced by a madman, the butler produces a concealed weapon.
Reach for the ceiling, quick!
Put that toy away.
I warn you, take another step and I shoot.
He does take another step, and the butler does shoot. But the bullet ricochets off Superman's tough skin.
There's no time for horseplay.
Okay, this is actually a really
This is so
advanced
cool.
comic book storytelling device for literally the first one here. In the corner of this panel, I don't know if we have this loaded up, but we should show it
I can
off.
show it anyway.
It says,
I got
a
it here.
life hangs in the balance.
12
minutes to go. It is
there's a-
superimposed. It is not
Sorry.
a clock
There
that
we go.
exists
Here.
in the world, but it is
Here, I
a
can-
clock that
this
exists in
one.
the panels of the
Yeah, a
comic.
little bigger.
Oh, yeah,
There we
there
are.
you go.
Just to tell you, we are at 12 minutes.
And
it's just such a fascinating visual storytelling device
Yeah.
so early.
And
the
it
next
happens.
panel,
In the next panel, it's 9 minutes ago, and the clock has moved further.
don't you realize I've proof she's innocent and you alone can save her?
Let me see those papers. Oh, we've changed it.
No, sorry.
Hurry! Connect me with the penitentiary.
And we are in the penitentiary.
Now we're in the
and
penitentiary.
The pardon goes through.
And he did it. Superman saved somebody who was about to be
Saved an
electrocuted.
innocent life.
Yeah,
So,
you'll find the real murderess bound and delivered on the lawn of your estate. That's the woman he dropped off.
Yeah.
He just
Ah.
captured the real murderess, dropped her off, with 9 minutes to spare, stops the execution of a guilty woman. So basically, his first action in all of comics is to prevent a miscarriage of justice. And it's so fascinating. It's him being like, I will force my way through your system. I will tear a door off its hinges so that I can prevent this system from going wrong. Because it's chaotic good.
Yeah, he's chaotic good. That's actually a really good way to put it.
Now, if people are paying attention in this book, what does the next panel start with?
Next morning, as Kent leaves for the newspaper upon which he works as a reporter.
So if you're paying attention, you know that this is Superman. But
Yes.
if you're not paying attention, what is happening?
You're like, who's Kent?
Who's Kent? Yeah. And like, not to mention,
Although
it
it
said,
only lasts one
Then you
panel.
start, yeah, it
This
only
is
lasts
good, I'm
one
not
panel.
mentioned.
But this is weird. I mean, like, and this is an odd thing that happens here, where there's just
Also, he works at the Daily Star.
it's the Daily Star,
Yeah.
not the Daily
Cute.
Planet.
Action, yeah, Daily Planet, by the way, I can tell you in that,
When was the beginning of the Daily Planet?
I think I have, did I forget to write? That might be the one thing
I have a
forgot to
theory
write
on
down.
why it changed.
What's your theory?
My theory is it changed for either the radio or television or serials because
Probably
there
so,
was a
yeah.
there was a copyright.
By the way, don't
Star.
forget to get us your topics.
Topics.
Tonight for our 5-minute one shot at the end of the.
Gotta have some topics.
Gotta have those topics to
some
make me
fresh
pull my
topics.
hair out.
What?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, God, look at all
By the way,
those
you can
one
read
thing I
these
forgot to
comics.
put down.
They are, thank goodness, finally available in several different collections. We, I think, all ended up referencing a recent reprinting
was
that
so
is
good.
the Golden Age, Superman the Golden Age Volume 1. It was
Yeah.
in hardcover, now it's in softcover and digital, where they just sort of start laying these things out chronologically in nice full color. The Daily Planet first appeared by name in Action Comics
There we go.
23, 1940.
So
That
2
would be
years later.
circa the radio show, so that would make sense.
So to hop through a couple things. A little-
Hop,
leap, bound.
Did you notice he runs on telephone wires a lot? I was
He
trying
does
to
that a
figure out
lot.
if it's like, were telephone wires cool and modern and mysterious? Because now they're invisible to us.
I think they were because we had not
I think
quite
so,
started
but-
rural electrification, so it was a very it was
Got
like one of
water
those
all over
things that-
myself. This is very full.
They were starting. I think they hadn't even quite finished crossing the United States, so they were things
Yeah.
that were appearing.
I think they were like very metropolitan. And like they were just a way for him to traverse this.
It's almost
It's the
Spider-Man
same thing
like.
as Spider-Man,
Yeah.
yeah. Because he couldn't fly, but he can jump 20 stories. So jump up to the telephone wires and run on them like a
Freak
pigeon.
people out,
Yeah,
which
we're
was
like
his
a-
favorite thing to do.
Have we just started the rural electrification project? I can't
Probably so.
remember.
I mean,
Yeah.
New Deal. Yeah,
Yeah,
New
yeah.
Deal's going on right now. So
So the next thing he does is apparently for reasons that are mildly baffling, the newspaper is going to go deal with a wife beating at 211 Court Avenue.
yeah, you know, like
They
a
got a
journalist.
tip.
They got a tip, like you do. And Superman shows up and basically threatens a guy who's beating his wife with a
Yeah.
belt, and then
Again, breaks into the house.
So the first two things he does are help out women. One is the falsely accused
woman who's going to be
woman who's going to be executed, and the second one is basically he pulls a pick on someone your own size with this jerk.
and the guy tries to stab him. The knife breaks against him, and begins one of my favorite trends in these early Superman books, which is that people attempt to stab him or shoot him and then faint.
Yeah.
There's a lot of fainting men in these. They just, and then they faint.
And then he very quickly changes into the Clark Kent guy. So when the cops show up, he's like, I just got here and found him like
He
this.
was, I don't know.
Then he goes back to the Daily Planet and asks Lois Lane. out
Daily
on the
Star.
Action
Daily
Comics
Star.
#1, Lois Lane.
Lois, I mean, this is a good Lois Lane panel, but it's not like I literally yelled. I think out loud yelled "boss bitch" in issue 3. I was like, oh, "Boss bitch!" Oh, she fucks some shit up in this.
Early Lois is amazing.
Fuck.
Partly because they very quickly establish the they want to have a good reason for this Lois doesn't pay attention to him thing. So early Clark in character
Is all-
kind of sucks.
He kind of
Yeah,
sucks.
he kind of sucks.
He
He was based on Joe Shuster's self-perception of himself and Harold Lloyd.
Oh, well, Harold Lloyd was a cutie in that point.
But
for
there's
those of you
also-
who don't know, Harold Lloyd was one of the big movie stars of the time. If you've never seen a Harold Lloyd film, you should go see a Harold Lloyd film. There are a lot of good ones. They're silent.
He's the one, the silent film, who's like hanging from the clock. Yep,
He
that's
was-
Harold
he was
Lloyd.
hanging-
Yeah,
I'm
the
also
big round
curious
glasses.
what influence it might have had that these days when we do Zorro stories, he tends to be very cool in both incarnations.
Mm-hmm.
But in the earliest Zorro stories, his alter ego was very much like a don't like conflict, poetic, fanciful, like leans very hard into
was
the...
also like Scarlet Pimpernel.
was what we would describe as very fey and very swish.
Yeah.
It was, like, was very much.
Which now we see as like cool virtues.
Yeah,
But was intended
at
to
the
basically
time-
throw off the possibility that this guy could be the secret badass.
Byron-esque. There was where I was.
Very, very, very well done. Byron-esque.
Byron-esque. I have to.
Now I'm imagining a Superman who's mad, bad, and dangerous to know.
Oh, it's the best.
So
Lois kind of goes out on a date with him, and Superman and Clark kind of sucks on this date.
And granted, there's a lot of interesting social things that happen. They go on a
Sure.
date. Some jerk is like, I want to cut in. And she's like, what are you going to do about that? And it's like, well, you know, that's not, but fine.
She gives him an opportunity. She's like, "Do you have something to say to this?" He's like, "Not really."
like,
and so
"No,
and
it's
so she
fine."
goes up and just
She
smacks
punches him in the
motherfucker
face.
there is something very interesting about that, though, where like it's essentially Lois says, "Okay,
She'll let up.
society
Are you gonna-
says
oh, yeah.
that you're supposed to do something about this.
Yeah.
I don't want to necessarily dance with this man. I want to continue dancing with you. Do you want to stop this, Clark?"
And he's like
no, I'm too afraid to. And she goes, "Fine, I'll do it." Slap.
and I love that his subtext is the good for you, Lois, and then the Lois don't, like
Yeah.
literally allowing that conflict to be like, I am playing a character, I'm doing a part. This is
Yeah,
something I
he's
have
like
to
playing
do.
a part, and it's really funny because like there are moments in these where he's like, "Oh, I really wish that I could stop this, but I can't."
So, and like this is a thing that eventually as they mature, I start to realize that they realize, which is, and I don't think they realize it yet in this story, is that Clark could have a relationship with her if he wanted, but he is intentionally sabotaging by not being himself.
So it's just one more sacrifice that he's making for the good of being Superman?
Well, I mean-
is that how you're saying it?
I
Show
think
this
it's.
off because Lois is an icon.
Oh man. Okay. I think it's weirder than that. I think that's a reading of it, but I think there's something deeper and more interesting in the character about a person who, because he could be a perfectly fine Superman and do this. We've proven through decades of storytelling that Superman works really well in a committed, in an honest relationship where he's not bullshitting.
Well, and the truth is that Superman, his actual thoughts here are, I love that you stand up for yourself, but what he says out loud is, Lois, don't make trouble. So you can't blame her for being like, I'm not going to hang out with don't make trouble guy.
Yeah.
I want,
Yeah,
you
this
know,
guy sucks.
But the truth is that, like, if she knew that he loved that quality in her, maybe she wouldn't feel so, you know.
When she comes in contact with his best self, with his true self, because he's not putting on anything when he's Superman. He's putting on shit when he's Clark Kent. Clark Kent is almost a mocking idea of what a human being is supposed to be, whereas Superman is just him being himself, being the best of himself. She's immediately into it. I mean, like, that's an immediate thing, and it's that idea of like, we would totally work if I would just be honest with you for 5 fucking seconds.
Yep.
And that's all on him, and it's just and he's so awful. He's so awful in these first books.
Yeah. So
She can do so much better.
she slaps the dude who wants to dance with her.
Yeah.
And leaves.
And it's not just the dude who very piggishly is insisting on dancing with her like a jerk. Not just some dude who would like to dance
What's
with
his
her.
name? Is like Bilbo Bruno. He's got there's Butch. His name is Butch.
Butch, yeah.
He is obviously a mom
I said
guy.
run along. I'm cutting in. Trying to get flip. Move quick if you know what's good for you. That's a great way to ask, you know.
Yeah, you'll dance with me, and like, oh yeah, you're getting slapped.
And then he goes, be reasonable, Lois. Dance with the fellow, and then we'll leave right away. She goes,
Oh,
you
no!
can stay and dance with him if you wish, but I'm leaving now.
Fuck you, Lois, don't take shit.
Yeah, you'll dance with me and you'll like it.
And that's when she hits
That's
him.
when she slaps
He
him.
has it coming.
She slaps the mobster, and then the mobster slaps Clark.
Yep. And then she leaves, and the mobster says, "Let's get out of here. I'll show that skirt she can't make a fool out of Butch Matson."
And unfortunately, this is the first. Lois shows up and immediately gets captured. But she gets captured because she's awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's gonna happen a lot.
So Superman runs faster than the car, jumps over the car, gets in front of the car,
Shakes.
and then this is where we get it.
Because I was just gonna say this is the. And
then
we arrive at the cover.
We arrive at the cover, and that in the corner at the far, in having an absolute mind-altering panic attack is Butch Matson.
Yeah.
Wondering what he did to deserve this.
So now, when's Daisies? Every single time you look at the comic book, at the cover for Action Comics issue 1, you'll know the dude in the green in the corner that's running away screaming, who you're like, oh, this poor man. No, he's an
what happens
asshole.
when you're a dick to Lois Lane.
Yeah,
Yep.
don't be a dick to Lois.
Lane.
Important life
That's how you get
Mm-hmm.
your car wrecked.
So he hangs him from a telephone pole.
And then the very first thing he says to Lois is, you needn't be afraid of me. I won't harm you.
And I advise you not to print this little episode. Oh.
And she immediately goes to her newspaper supervisor. But I tell you, I saw Superman last night.
And by the way, we should note, not Perry White.
Not Perry White.
Not Perry yet.
Just chief.
Just editor, just chief. Yeah, just says editor on the desk. That's all we get.
Are you sure it wasn't pink elephants you saw? Yeah, that's.
Which I love that, like, you went out dancing and you saw a flying man.
You were hitting
sure.
the cocktails.
Sure.
Oh yeah, and then yeah, it just keeps going into.
And
Oh,
then,
yeah, and then he gets his super... Okay, this plot was amazing to me because they were like, cover this thing in South America. And he's like, cool, going to D.C.
Oh, my God.
Because I have the
Yeah.
most convoluted plot in the world, and I'm going to
Yep.
watch.
And
watch
it's
the
again,
rest.
remember,
so deep.
these were all intended to be 4-panel dailies in newspapers, and they got smashed together into one issue inside of like 5 weeks.
Makes no sense
They're
to me
literally
whatsoever.
cutting and pasting them onto a page.
Yeah, because they were like, we just need to fill a story. This will work or it won't work, whatever. It's at issue. And then when Action Comics sold incredibly well, even then Donfeld and Leibowitz didn't know if it was Superman. So they had to employ a couple of different ways to ask their audience, are you buying these issues? Are you buying these because of Superman or what else? And almost like 80% of the responses they got back were Superman, 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 Superman. So it took them a couple months to really fully realize,
Like,
Superman's
How
it.
would you know, you know?
But after those couple months, Superman Incorporated was invented, and like they literally incorporated Superman so that they could start selling all of his merchandise.
Can we skip to like 5 or 6? What is the...
I know exactly which one you're talking
Oh,
about.
it's the best.
I mean, like, I'm just going to talk about that. Like, the very next thing he does
Yeah.
is find a guy who is attempting to bribe a senator, and then
A war profiteer.
and then just start torturing him. It is.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Pretend
it
he's
is.
going to electrocute him.
I mean, like,
This is
it's
where you get
amazing.
like him running across like the telephone and electric wires, takes him to Washington, and then that's the end of issue 1.
Oh, he seems like he's leapt to his death. It's a cliffhanger, if she won.
Yeah.
And what he comes up with, the elaborate torture that he comes up with for this man is the most. It's pages of. I mean, like, somebody is feeling better about something.
So
in
it's
this.
very interesting because
love it.
it's a very 1938 concern, which is that, like, it's interesting to read this first plot line because he goes to Washington and he finds basically a lobbyist who is leaning on a congressman to put a certain bill through, a bill which will, and this is a very late 30s perspective, there was sort of widespread disagreement about whether America should have gotten involved in World War I. And so there was a lot of active argument in the 30s over whether America should end up in this war that is brewing and happening in Europe. And there were sort of people...
And how?
People on sort of both sides of like the, is this a fight we should be in? Much was at that time
Physically,
unknown
economically.
about what was going on in Europe, or else this matter might have seemed clearer earlier. The information about what was happening was unevenly distributed. So anyway, so that's why you find yourself in the interesting perspective of like, it was a sort of reasonable comic book plot that somebody was attempting to draw us into that conflict without real merit. And as it turns out, it is at the instigation, spoilers for Action Comics like 2.
It's been a while.
It is at the instigation of someone who just wants to sell munitions. And that guy becomes Superman's first very creative torture victim.
Yeah. And by the way, here is the cover for Action Comics number 2.
Because they did not know what was important to put on the front of
Yep.
Action Comics 2.
Oh,
Again,
there we are. And
sorry, it's a
lean
little
it
glare,
up.
but
lean it up. There we
you'll
go.
notice no Superman.
Yep.
It's,
His name's not on it.
Not on it at all.
Here, I got mine turned down a bit. Here we go.
So,
Oh yeah, I found the perfect
Nice.
brightness level. I know that's really there's a lot happening in that. Leo E.
She's got the perfect silk stocking.
I know
line.
the stocking line is just considering that she's falling out of an airplane is
Leo, by the way, the artist for that cover
beautiful.
was so he was doing a strip, and I'm sorry, I feel like this name is probably very racist, but he was doing a strip called Fu Manchu. And that was one of the people that Siegel went out to in 1933, 1934 to say, hey, do you want to draw Superman?
And said,
and he was like, yeah, maybe send me your script. And now he's drawing the cover for Action Comics #2.
yep, that was oh man, beautiful.
Which I think is kind of fun. So
this war profiteer, this munitions guy, he's saved. He doesn't actually throw him off a building. He takes him to Europe.
South America.
No, South America, that's right. 'Cause we're doing South America.
And so oddly, what you get in the strip before this, which probably made more sense when it was a weekly strip than when it just happens like partway through the issue, is that he's been, like Clark has been assigned to cover a war in South America. And I believe, hilariously, this is also in Action Comics 2 or 3, like the first time that we see Lois not getting a chance to do her proper journalist job. Is this when he says no job for a girl, or is that later?
That's later.
Okay.
it's later,
This
yeah.
is
But he does turn her down.
He says,
no,
she's
okay.
going. She's on this one.
Excellent. I thought she had to sneak on this one.
No,
she doesn't
no,
have to sneak
she's-
till later.
Yeah, there's later,
Yeah, she sneaks later. Yeah.
She's like,
I think
oh,
like
hell
issue
no.
4 or 5.
There's so much. She has so much. Oh hell no.
But so Lois is going on this same story. They're covering a war in South America to try and get some interesting material. And so that detour through Washington takes us to, he takes the munitions guy.
And-
he ignores the lobbyist and the congressman because he goes straight to the root of the problem, I guess.
Yep.
And
No nonsense.
And like he saves the guy, puts him on the boat. He says, "You saved me, but why?" He says, "Because the fate you escaped is pleasant indeed compared to the one I have in store for you."
Superman's a dick in these first few, like the first 3 or 4 years, he's kind of a jerk.
And he's like, "What are you going to do to me?" And says, "Nothing if you join the San Monte army." He makes the guy join the actual war. He's like, "Been selling the shit. You're going to have to fight it now." And he does. The guy goes in and is like literally in trench warfare, having like an intensely bad time.
And it's pretty radical anti-war, like.
Yeah, no, it's there is no way not to understand what this is about.
Yeah.
Yep. Especially when you're coming off of like the Great War, and then the Great Depression.
In the Great War, there were strong and then current historical arguments of like, were there sort of weapons or coal or other interests that or steel, I think, was one of the did we get into World War I for the right reasons at the right time, or were there industrial forces at play? And they're interesting historical questions, which are apparently also going to show up in literally our superhero comics in issue 2.
Yep.
Yeah, and
So for people who say that comics have never been political, they've been political since
day
Action
one.
Comics #1.
My favorite bit of this story is when he kidnaps the generals of both opposing armies, and literally after finding people who are committing war crimes and then throwing them into river, just tossing them like rocks.
Oh yeah, he finds a random guy who's doing torture, and he's just like, oh well, out of here.
Into the
Yep. In the river.
Yeah, and there's a lot of that. He finds the two generals of the armies and says, "I've decided to end this war by having the two of you fight it out between yourselves." Says, "Go ahead, fight. I'll clean." And it says, "Or I'll clean up both of you myself." He's like, "You two have this problem. Do it now." And their thing is,
But why should we fight?
we're not angry at each other.
Then why are your armies battling? I don't know. Can you tell me?
No, can you? And literally just makes them sit
Gentlemen,
down.
it's obvious you've been fighting only to promote the sale of munitions. Why not shake hands and make up? And they do.
It's so easy.
He fixes the war in South America, which is in what was maybe more true than they realized, that foreign wars could be started by the interventions of industries in other countries.
Yeah. And then we got our first, attention all-American youth. Superman now appears on the comic page of many newspapers. If you'd like to see him in your local newspaper, fill in this coupon and mail it immediately to Superman, care of Action Comics, 480 Lexington
Now,
Avenue, New
I
York
have
City.
a question about this, because this is Action Comics 2 or 3, right?
Yeah.
Which means it's May or June, and they've printed it before that. But your book of Superman dailies doesn't start until the fall.
I think it's already going. This is just a push to get it syndicated.
I think that might be the case because This is July, so this is coming out in May, presumably. And the comic book dailies don't actually start until January.
Maybe they're just lying. They're like, everyone's paper has it but yours. Write in. You're the only paper without it.
That sounds like a Donnenfeld thing to do.
Like, what are you going to do? Check with the other kids in different states?
That you don't know?
You don't have pen pals yet.
Yeah.
Because the Superman letters page hasn't started.
Yeah,
don't know. I
I
didn't
think
look
maybe
into
it was
this. I
like
was
vetting
curious.
interest.
Yeah.
Maybe.
That was just, please write to us and with the papers that we should approve.
I don't know. But yeah, he stops that war.
He does.
Issue
Oh,
2,
and Lois
Superman
almost
stops
gets
the war.
executed for being a spy.
Yeah, for fun. I mean, like, and
She
then
gets
there's
framed by a mysterious woman, but it's great because this is a, like, Lois in danger, but just because she's doing her job. Like, you know, sometimes you travel to other countries and then get framed for being a spy and nearly executed. You know, it's just a hazard that comes with being a reporter.
So I skipped ahead a little bit to he goes on a series of he pretends to be a minor. Not
That
really
one's
as a child.
amazing.
So
Yeah.
So issue number 3.
That is my coal miner.
Superman, Clark Kent poses as a miner
Like,
to
Hard
jump-
hat and all.
like a coal miner to jump down into a mine shaft in a collapsed mine to rescue some miners who were down there, sees the terrible working conditions, visits one of the guys that he rescued in the hospital, who then tells him the owner of the mine knows that this is dangerous and he continues to not fix the problem.
and the guy says in what is clearly coded as the speech of an immigrant, like in specifically broken English, that's like, he says, you work there if you want job.
Yeah.
You know,
He's
no
like
complaint.
speaking with like broken English.
And
Yeah.
it's very clear. The guy's like, yeah, they know it's dangerous and they're not doing anything about it. And Superman's like,
Huh. So Clark Kent pays him a visit and says, hey, maybe you should do something about this. And he's like, no, miners are cheap, whatever. I'll just get more of them. So then
Throws a party.
Yeah, so
fancy man throws a party.
Fancy man throws a party.
Fancy millionaire throws a party. Clark, again, posed as a miner, is goes to the man's house, is captured, brought into the house, and he's like, well, I just want to see a party. I ain't never seen one of them fancy parties before. And the mine owner's like, ha 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 ha. Look at this poor
First
poor
he's gonna have
sap.
guards beat the crap out of him, so we
Yeah.
know that the miner's just a real good dude.
Yeah.
And then he has a better idea.
And then he has a better idea. He's like, hey, everybody, my rich friends who are always just trying to not be bored by life, let's all go to one of my mines and throw a party there.
In the mine.
In the mine.
That's
So
a great idea.
So, and
Superman.
of course, there's a reference here. It's the late 30s, right? So we are post-Gatsby. We are post-Jazz Age. We are in one of the moments where American culture is reckoning heavily with the sort of haves and have-nots. And they even make a reference in there that I went and looked up. It's one of the first references to a real-world thing in the book, is when
Really?
when one of the party guests says, so-and-so, Elsa something.
Oh, yeah.
Elsa
I wondered about
Maxwell's
that.
parties are nothing compared to this. And it turns out she was a gossip columnist who invented doing treasure hunts at parties.
No.
So, like, the patron saint
way.
of our people. The one who invented big, crazy, creative parties, not single-handedly, but, like, a very, famous enough to get name-checked in this as, like,
Whoa.
throwing the best fancy society parties for royalty and, like,
I
popularizing.
wondered about that. 'Cause,
Yeah,
I was like,
treasures.
Elsa Maxwell. Yeah, here it is. Here it is. The
Elsa Maxwell has nothing on Blakely when it comes to throwing a novel party. Blakely is the name of the mine owner.
and boy, he's a smarmy. To the right, folks, you see a social climbing miner who has narrowly missed having his block knocked off because he attempted to see how the other half lives.
And Superman's thinking, I wonder what he's leading up to.
On the left, my dull-witted friend, you see a mob of pampered nincompoops whose sole activity in life is searching for new ways to escape boredom.
He was referring to us.
Blakely's going too far.
What say, folks? Let's compromise. We'll finish the party in the mine. Our miner pal here will guide us and feast his eyes on us. And as for us, we'll make merry in the bowels of the earth.
Hooray!
This man's a genius.
So
What's that?
Clark Kent, Superman, still posing as a miner, leads them to the mine, takes them down the elevator,
And terrorizes
and
them.
attacks the wooden tunnel supports and rips it all down.
I love that there's a man in a top hat going, look, I brought some sandwiches.
Yeah.
Who brought to heck with the sandwiches? Who brought a flask?
But again, Samson, we got Samson.
Here, I'll help.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, no problem. Let me know what, yeah. Look at that.
So once again, the comic is letting us know that these people clearly have this coming, but he lets them work themselves until they drop of exhaustion and nearly kill this guy who they think, he lets everything play out. He's trapped them down here. The mine owner goes, oh, as they're about to turn on him and kill him, and he's just like, wait, the safety devices, which of course don't work because he's a shitty capitalist.
Yeah.
Then they are ready to turn on him again, and they're all literally trying to dig their way out. All these party guests who thought it would be such a lark.
Who don't know how to use the tools, are not conditioned to
And
do
we
work,
get
don't know
some
how it
hints
works.
of their humanity because as they arrive in the mine, the rest of the party guests who didn't come up with this idea are sort of immediately like, oh, this is actually...
This
is kinda
sucks.
terrible.
This really sucks. That people work down here? This is awful.
The fact that miners have to do this 14 long hours each day, and even the owner at the end is, oh, if only I had all this over to do again. I never knew. I really knew what the men down here have to face.
Superman says, that's all I've been waiting to hear. To us, presumably, not them. Because they all work themselves until they're passed out, and he clears the way so that the other miners can rescue them.
Because there's miners working on the other side who finally break through. But after everyone else passes out, only then does Superman use his super strength to help clear the way.
Several days later, Kent again visits Blakely. You can announce that henceforth my mines will be the safest in the country, and my workers the best treated. My experience in the mines brought their problems closer to my understanding.
Congratulations on your new policy. May it be a permanent one. Parentheses. If it isn't, you can expect another visit from Superman. Do you think he said that out loud?
Yes.
But under his
whispering.
breath?
Yeah, whispering.
If it isn't, you can expect another visit
From Superman.
from Superman.
Wait, what'd you say?
No.
No,
Congratulations,
Did you
sir.
say something about Superman?
Nope.
It's still, I mean, not that I can
Because
never...
that guy doesn't know he got visited by Superman.
No,
Fair enough.
he
That
doesn't.
guy just thinks he got trapped
Fair
in a
enough.
mine.
It is my favorite joke from the Josie and the Pussycats movie is that she
What's
keeps
that?
narrating her inside voice.
Oh,
out
right
in
right.
front of him, including that was close. What? What?
So one of my favorites when I was like, oh, whoa, Superman's a full-on asshole, was issue 4, September. He witnesses a hit and run. So he witnesses a hit and run, and then chases the guy.
He tries to save that dude.
Then the guy who did the hit and run is in a car that gets stuck on a train track. So then he saves the guy who did the hit and run from being hit by a train. Then he jumps onto the train.
Hit and run guy has a heart attack, so we just abandoned that plot line.
Yeah, just completely abandon it.
It's like fainting ×2 in this book.
Yeah. And then he gets on the train and uncovers, unknowingly, a plot to sabotage a college football game. And he's like, well, I've got to go save these kids from these people who want to ruin their careers. And he kidnaps one of the opposing team's players, drugs him, puts him in a bed, tied up and drugged, and then poses as him and plays football.
Using his perfect makeup skills.
Yeah, using
You
his
didn't know Superman had perfect makeup skills?
So the kid is kidnapped, and the kid, by the way, is not a great football player. His girlfriend breaks up with him because he's a shitty.
She's kind of terrible.
Yeah, she's kind of awful. Like,
It's kind of awful.
You know.
what is her?
Oh, she's at the
She gives him
quote
an
here?
ultimatum.
now we're
I'm ashamed of you, Tommy Burke. You told me you'd be a football hero, but in the 6 or 7 years you've been a substitute, you've never even gotten into one
Kid been in
game.
college.
That's really telling right there. He ain't got nothing else going on, does he?
I suppose you're
And he-
looking for a new boyfriend now.
Wrong. I've already got one. Wallace Dodd, the tennis champion. He's a real athlete and the cousin of Wesley Dodd. So
And then he walks away, and
That's
Superman
canon.
comes up dressed.
So,
it is now.
Oh, great.
Wesley Dodds had a cousin who was a tennis pro in college.
who got dumped by this kind of worthless girl?
I would like to think he dumped her at this point.
Maybe she's under some weird peer
Or-
pressure.
or-
Maybe her friends have been giving her like a real shitty time and just like
Fair.
she's taking it
they've
out
never
on
even
poor
spoken.
Burke.
She's just being a jerk to him. Like there's nothing
you know,
happening.
you'll see.
It's okay. Well, that's right. God damn it.
So he poses as this football player and is amazing, unstoppable. Everyone's like, "Oh my God, this kid overnight became the greatest football player in history."
He scores 2 touchdowns seconds apart by himself, and the
Yeah.
rest of the team's like, School.
School, I guess.
That makes sense with physics.
Also, the schools are Cordell and Dale, I think.
Yeah.
Definitely not any Schmivy League schools.
I will say also, and again, anybody who's a fan of the 1970s Superman movie, this is the beginning of the imagery from that. This is the first time you see some imagery that the football, Superman playing football, starts to harken to these comic books.
Yeah.
This is these first 12 issues. There's a lot of tableaus in these issues that ended up in the film, and this is one of the first ones with Superman playing football.
Nice.
I really love that movie. I have a lot of deep love
It's
of that.
so perfectly in the spirit.
And it gets this vibe, and like it captures, especially Act 1 captures this vibe.
So what's interesting is he's been fighting these very large social evils, and this one is very particular.
Very
but it is the
particular.
idea that like this coach is someone else abusing his power. He's hired goons to like destroy the careers of 3 opposing students.
I mean, it's kind of like the
This kid is.
I know, I'm like
I pulled this panel
I
because
pulled
it
this
made me
panel.
laugh.
Yeah, I was prepared for
which
this.
I think.
Acquire super strength.
I don't.
So they start teaching you how to become Superman.
Oh yeah. Those.
And
Yeah.
this is the first one of how can you be Superman?
What?
And it's like, don't try and lift a chair. Lift a box, then a smaller chair, and then a.
Then the full
But
chair.
that's still like a 3-year-old hefting an easy chair.
He's doing real
Well, that's
good.
because 3-year-olds are reading these.
Oh, fair enough.
You may
So-
find lifting a heavy armchair.
When exercising, it is always well to remember that overstrain is dangerous. Be moderate in your exertions.
So
Kid with an easy chair.
So we have him.
Okay,
We have
sorry.
him.
We're back on topic. What?
He's an asshole here, and then okay. So this is. I think number 5 is the one that you were talking about, where he's like, "This is a job for a man, not a woman."
Oh,
yeah.
well, the football thing all works out great, and weirdly,
Works out, it's
like
fine.
the kid gets his girlfriend back and is happy about that, and it's
it'll
all
never
sort of
last.
all's well that ends well.
Yeah, though
both be happier
Superman
somewhere else.
does watch as a couple of the goons beat up the poor guy and then kidnap him.
Oh yeah, he lets them kidnap him.
Yeah,
'cause
yeah.
he-
Superman's a dick. He's kind of like not a great guy.
The kid ends up
He-
happy,
He does, but like also traumatized.
maybe a little traumatized.
So there's a slight shift in the art starting in this book. I don't know if you noticed, like the inks get it gets a little tighter. Clark gets a little more. Clark
We're
and
at
Lois
6
both.
panels instead of the 8.
Yeah, there's a little more happening with Lois and Clark. They're starting to get a little more defined.
Are you talking about number 5?
Yeah.
So
Glamorous
I think
also.
I know what's going on here. Joe Shuster had terrible eyesight, right?
Oh wait, yeah, he was blind in one eye by the end of this.
Yeah, and he had to start working with another team to help him draw.
Oh, assistance.
So he had assistants drawing, but he wasn't telling anybody. So he was just taking cuts of his pay and paying other guys to help him, and then he would do the inks. The only thing he insisted on doing was the heads.
This was actually various studio arrangements, and having assistants help you with your strips was more the norm than not for especially
Like Eisner
successful
Studios,
strips.
Bob Kane.
Everybody sort of came up working in each other's studios and collaborating on things, and like so a job you might be after if you were him were to be like, you're the new assistant to Alex Raymond, like do some comic strip adventure art, like that would have been an amazing gig. But I think it's a little different maybe in this case, where it's sort of like if you're just doing the heads and kind of getting kids to fill in. This page is important.
This is the beginning of Lois. Lois is a fucking boss.
Yeah.
Can we just do this page?
Sure.
Because, like, okay, the opening
You want
pages
Clark,
of
you want Terry?
Adventure 5.
Which one are we doing?
We're doing Boss
2
Bitch
pages
Lois
of,
over it.
Superman, another astounding adventure of the strongest man on Earth, Jerome Siegel and Joe Shuster. Telegraph lines broadcast to the world news of a terrible disaster. We're looking at power lines again, because we look at power lines a lot. The Valley Ho Dam. I feel like it's supposed to be Vallejo, but whatever. Valley Ho Dam is cracking under the strain of a huge downpour. Should it give way, a mountain of water will sweep down the valley, killing thousands and destroying the fertile land. In the office of the Daily Star...
Kent! Get me Clark Kent!
That's editor. I'm still unnamed at this point. And on page 2, he isn't in the office.
Well, look for him, Lois, and have him report to me before I lose my mind.
But why not have me handle the assignment?
Can't. It's too important. This is no job for a girl.
Time the F out. No job for a woman, eh? I've half a mind to...
Lois encounters Clark outside the newspaper office.
Clark Kent! Just the man I'm looking for.
You mean you're actually glad to see me?
I should say I am. Would you do me a favor and cover an assignment for me?
Would I? You know I'd do anything for you.
Good. good. Go to the city hospital's maternity ward. A Mrs. Mahoney is expecting septuplets.
What a story! Thanks, Lois. You're a peach to let me handle this.
Later.
One round-trip ticket to Valley Ho, please.
At the city
She
hospital.
steals the story.
Well, it's worse than that. At the city hospital, somebody's been spoofing you, pal. There's no Mrs. Mahoney registered here.
That's
strange. See, I wonder if Lois is by any chance pulling a double cross. I better get back to the office. And then Clark almost gets fired here.
Yeah. You brainless idiot, the greatest news story on months is on fire, and you waste your time in a hospital?
Chief, I didn't know.
And the worst part of it is that the last train for Valley Ho was already left. Kent, report to the cashier. You're fired.
But Kent has other plans. Yeah, and it's
So he just goes because he's Superman. He can go there
Superman.
anyway. So Lois just pulled like some real dirty shit on Superman, but also like for me as a reader, you're squarely on the side of like, do whatever you got to do,
Take it.
lady.
Take
it.
That's bullshit.
Do it.
take it. Get it. You got to
So
get it.
here's one of the a part that made me kind of go, what? He runs after the train, beats the train.
Also another sequence stolen from the movie right there.
Yep.
Is running past the train.
But then right in the middle of that page it says, with the speed of light, he reaches the railroad trestle.
What the?
I don't think they mean he was actually running at the speed of light.
No.
Did they even know what the speed of light was at that point? Had they
At
mentioned
that
it yet?
point, I don't know if it was
30s.
popular.
They were just being flouncy.
I'm sure they were, but like there's a part of me is like, but at some point he kind of does, so that early on, really? Like,
We're nowhere near there. He can't
Yeah.
even fly yet.
no, I know. That's why I was like,
But then he does another
When was
thing.
the speed of light discovered? I'm curious.
That would have been.
They would have known
Einstein,
it.
so-
I mean, well,
Thank
I mean,
you, chat, for being all on the on
I mean,
the same
186,000 miles per second. I know that, but like, I don't.
That would have been Einstein. So that would have been.
I mean, well, 1920, 1921.
Yeah, we know it.
yeah.
page. Certainly know the speed of light by now.
It was popular, and then
So-
he does another thing that he does in the film, which is that he lifts the bridge so that the train can pass.
Yep, and he keeps it up, and then it crashes the second they all pass, and they're like, "Oh my God, we would have died."
More
Then he
movie
goes to the
moments.
dam and keeps it from collapsing. But
Another
eventually-
movie moment.
But eventually it collapses, and he has to go save Lois from the rushing
So
torrent
everyone
of
else
water
is running away from danger, and she's running straight into it.
because
which is-
she's a badass.
She's Lois.
And then
Literally, that taxi guy, and I did love this moment. She's just like, what's going on? And he's just like, I'm getting out of here. Take the taxi. So she does.
So
she
she
drives
does.
it towards the emergency.
and then of course she just goes straight for hot makeout, and
Mm-hmm.
it's just the best.
So I love this because it's Action Comics, what, 5, right?
Yep.
5. So the Superman attempts to keep the dam from breaking for as long as he can, buys enough time for most people to evacuate, and then eventually when it breaks, it's going to get Lois. She's in her car. It sweeps her away. He rescues her, tears the car apart, gets her out of it, and then essentially and I like this because it's not just that he's confident and that he's strong and he has all these wonderful other qualities. She literally says, you did it. You saved all those people. Oh, I could kiss you. Because equality, like, there's nothing wrong with valuing the quality of being a hero who just saved a bunch of people.
Yeah.
Like, and she goes, I could kiss you. As a matter of fact, I will.
And lady, please.
Panel border.
Wow, what a kiss.
A super kiss for a Superman.
Damn.
So she plants one on him canonically
Yep,
in their first
first.
encounter.
Yeah,
And he
Lois,
goes, "Enough of
Lois
that."
kisses first. That should be a shirt. Lois kisses first.
Lois kissed first.
Oh yeah, and boy,
And by the way, how did he stop the flood? He pushed down an entire fucking mountain.
It's a little, yeah, he was just like, here, this
He-
mountain will fit the right
He
shape.
pushes a mountain into the valley
so
and stops a giant flood from hitting a city.
so can we appreciate also just moving on that the next villain is copyright law?
Okay, apparently we knew the speed of light.
I love you.
We've known the speed of light for centuries. Thank you, Chad.
Oh, thank you, chat. Oh, wow. Oh, yeah, that's right, because Einstein would have only proved that you can't surpass it.
You can't surpass it, and light is essentially the same as matter at a certain
Is it
level.
186,200.4?
It's 186,000 miles per second.
200.4 miles per second. Might be
I don't know.
200.4. It's been so long that for some reason 200.4 is in my head. I don't know
Tim
why.
says we knew the
Probably
speed of light in
bullshit.
like the 1650s.
Don't
okay.
quote me on that. I don't know why that's in my head.
So the next one, a guy shows up at the, is it the editor?
That's
Yeah, he's with the editor.
Superman versus copyright violation. Oh my God.
Well, Superman versus merchandising.
Superman versus merchandising.
We are barely in the we are right at the point where they have just figured out that Superman is the draw, right? And I just, it's so fast. I can't believe how quickly we get to this point.
Babies have not been, you could have conceived a baby at issue 1 and it is not born yet. We are that deep in, it's that little has happened.
I pulled this panel. Because we are already in 7-6. Where are we now?
Where's the, oh yeah, here he is. Oh no.
Well, this is number 6.
Okay, number 6.
Still, Superman's only been on the cover once at this point.
And boy, this is a great, like somebody really had a crystal ball here. So we pull that.
So
up.
there's a guy who presents himself and says he is Superman's agent. He's already licensed Superman bathing suits, costumes, physical development exercises, and movie rights, to name a few. Why, I've even made provisions for him to appear in the comics.
No one wants to read a comic book about Superman. Oh,
So he's got an ad
here's a
for
couple.
cars. There's a blimp to
Yep.
buy a certain kind of gasoline.
Yep. The Superman, streamlined appreciated. I'm trying to. There's another really good one. Yeah, here's the blimp. I love a good blimp in a comic book.
Oh, and the radio show, which again, this is a full almost a year and a half before this radio show will exist.
Yeah, 'cause
there's
that
a
comes out
Superman radio show
middle of
in the
1940, I
Superman
think.
comics.
Yep. Good afternoon, kids everywhere. Today, Crackles, your favorite energy-building breakfast food, takes pleasure in presenting the first of a new astounding radio adventure program series entitled Superman, which will come to you every day at this time. And that time is very hard to read on that clock.
Are they just putting it out in the universe? Someone should make a Superman radio show.
And there's like Rin Tin Tin shows up out of nowhere. So that kid with the bow tie.
And there's a blimp. Use Superman gasoline
Oh, yeah,
for
and
super power.
Probably Proto Jimmy
It's
here.
Proto Jimmy. This is not quite Jimmy Olsen yet, but
Outside the editor's door, an inquisitive boy reporter.
Yeah, there's definitely this is probably Jimmy before Jimmy was Jimmy.
So there's a lot of historians who say that is proto Jimmy, but Jimmy Olsen was first introduced in the radio show in 1940.
Yes.
It was created specifically for Superman to have someone to talk to.
Yeah.
And then he didn't hit the comics until Superman number 13 in 1941. Interestingly enough, he then disappeared for a decade.
Jimmy Olsen. I'm gonna drop something crazy. Are you prepared for it?
No.
Jimmy Olsen is the Harley Quinn of Superman. Boom. It's a character created outside of canon for a different media that then got popped in and became just a wonderful little weird phenomenon within that character. Same way Harley Quinn was created for the animated series, Jimmy Olsen was created for the radio. And Jimmy Olsen is one of my favorite parts of the Superman mythos. As some of the best stories have been about Superman's pal, Jimmy Olsen.
Kirby took it over.
Kirby loved Jimmy. Kirby thought Jimmy was the best.
pal.
He was with the radio that he could use. It was the best. God, there's some good stuff. They go dance. Oh man.
Yeah, this is a strange one.
This is the fake Superman.
Lois drugs Clark at the restaurant that they go out to because she wants to go off and meet Superman instead of him meeting Superman.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Hold on.
Set this all up.
And by the way, we've got to start wrapping up.
I know.
Oh,
There's-
no.
I know.
Okay, I will throw out here a plug because a different thing happens in this comic that is hilarious, which is that he gets Lois to go out on another date with him, except that this time it is a plot on her behalf because she knows he's supposed to meet
Superman.
with Superman's agent, and now she has reached the point where she keeps trying to meet up with Superman again.
Because she's in love with him.
She's in love with him, and she also wants to know his deal, and it all just sort of makes sense. So she's both kind of story stealing and trying to get at Superman by finally agreeing to go on a date with Clark on the night when she knows he's supposed to meet up. So he's like, well, we've got some time. Let's go to a nightclub first. And this is the issue, right, where they did the Superman song?
Yes.
Yep.
So, 5 years, which is 100,000 internet years ago, I covered this one when I was doing the vlogs. And I just want to say a thank you to anyone who might be watching this who was in the group of people. I made up my own tune for it, and then I got a bunch of other people to make up their own tunes, including our own Kiri Callaghan, before she was working with us on Geek and Sundry.
Okay, I'm digging that up.
So
that's super
It's real fun, and thank you to everyone who went on that journey because it was just like, what is happening here?
That's amazing.
Okay, continue.
So she goes to see this. The agent has a fake Superman that he set up to, and we used special effects to make it look like the Superman can lift a desk.
Theatrical
and bend
tricks of
steel.
strongmanning.
And Lois watches the whole thing and goes, "You're full of shit."
She calls bullshit immediately.
Immediately doesn't fall for it for a second.
No, and she
I mean,
just
she
walks
has
over the
literally met
desk
him,
and
but
lifts
she
it up
also-
herself. She's like, "This is bullshit."
The panel of her lifting the
the-
desk, being like, "This is cardboard."
This is such a
but
is
just
such a
looking
great.
so badass
Yeah,
in her
like,
evening
whatever.
gown.
This is cardboard.
Oh, anyone can bend this aluminum bullshit, and you're a fucking fraud,
So they throw her out a window.
like they do.
And then Superman saves her, and
And she's, she's all
So-
about that.
Action Comics number 7. Are you sorry? We've got to
Yeah,
start
we
moving
gotta-
on.
sorry,
Action
sorry.
Comics number 7 is December. It's the first comic. It's the first cover with Superman on it since Action Comics 1.
Superman
In this
does the
one,
best
he's a
stuff.
super dick.
He breaks a Vardo.
He
What's a Vardo?
A Vardo is a type of caravan used in a circus.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Or
So
in a tribe.
he finds out that very much like Dick Grayson, these guys are going to sabotage the circus. He goes to try and help out and get business for the circus. So he's like, I feel bad for this guy. I'm going to be the strong man.
People
and
can
then
come see Superman do stuff.
Yeah. So to prove himself, he breaks the what's it called, a Vardo?
He breaks a Vardo.
He breaks the Vardo.
Already broke circus, who probably can't afford to be losing wagons.
Those things are. This is expensive. Why would you do this to make a point?
It hurt Taliesin specifically.
oh man, that and then let's just make it worse. Oh,
I'm going to kick it into
God.
the sun.
This is how you're trying to make friends? That's how you make friends?
Let me show you how strong I am by ripping your circus apart while I try to
Let
save
me
it.
break your stuff.
And then he makes fun of the strong man.
He does. That was
does.
me.
He's like, let me show you just how strong I am. You think this guy's strong? I can lift him. Which is heavier, this dumbbell or this dumbbell? It's like, oh my
Superman's full
God.
of the quips at this point.
He's full of the
There's
quips,
a
but this
lot
poor
of
man,
quips.
this poor man is just trying to make an honest buck. It's not his fault that Superman is stronger than him.
He
Ironically,
does save the circus in all of their lives.
He does.
And I'm
He
also
does.
going to say, ironically, as a child, I do remember that I'm trying to remember which circus it was, but one of the circuses had optioned the right to use superheroes in the circus, so I did get to actually see. I saw as a child Superman perform.
Oh my God, amazing.
It was so good.
All right, so I wanna hit like some quick highlights real
Yep,
quick.
yep, yep.
I've got
So
a
at
few
this
things,
point,
too.
we have he fights for justice. He's a social justice crusader. Super strength. He's bulletproof. Works at a place called the Daily Star. Lois Lane is in a love triangle with him and Clark Kent. There's an editor, but he's unnamed. There's a page boy, but he's unnamed. He can run really fast. He can lift cars. And he's from a planet that exploded. That's all we know. Then after number 7 in December, we get the comic books, the strips, the dailies, and there's 4 panels every single day that come up. If you want to show that off. And in the dailies, the first 12 strips, January, are the origin. And in that origin, we get Jor-El, I believe it's Lara, Krypton. It's a doomed planet. Jor-El is a super scientist, like the preeminent scientist of Krypton. He warns them that the planet's going to explode. They don't listen to him. He builds a rocket just as a test case. Planet dies more quickly than he was anticipating, and he sends his only born son to Earth. Very much like the Moses story or the Jesus story.
It's the first time we get that story, too.
And that's the first time we've had that story. So we're now almost a year, not even a full year in, but now we're getting even those details that Siegel already had, like for 5 or 6 years. He's finally putting them out there in the newspaper. But the newspaper strip is where we actually get that. So while that's going on, Action Comics number 8 sees a kid being sentenced to prison, and Superman decides to help the kid out because he's a product of the neighborhood.
Oh man, that one where he explicitly saves kids who are committing crimes from the grasps of the cops because he knows they've been set up by a system designed to defeat them.
Like Superman is fighting like endemic systemic
Chaotic
problems. Like chaotic good. But how does he ultimately do it? He decimates the entire neighborhood because he knows the city will have to use their tax dollars to
rebuild it.
To rebuild it.
The happy ending is that they build a housing project.
Like he full on like Nero. Like he's like playing a fiddle while the fire burns Rome. and he's the fire.
The neighborhood.
He destroyed, like he
And
gentrifies
everyone
the
is like,
neighborhood.
"Good job."
And everyone's like,
That was a
"Oh,
good
good
call."
job." We can't actually say that, but good job.
Is that also the one where he laughs at Lois because he like finds out that
Yes.
Lois is like actually in love with Superman?
Yeah.
He's like, oh, that's hilarious. Oh,
Yeah,
no.
he like goes behind a closed door. And he's like, "Ha ha ha! That's rich."
Then the
He
cops
only
are
knew.
after him. It's very Batman,
The-
and we're in the first year of Superman
The
because
cops
the
and
cops,
Superman
even
are
though
not
they kind of
friends.
think he did a good thing, they're like, we can't just ignore them. You literally wrecked a neighborhood.
No, there's
You destroyed it.
He is not always on the side of the cops. He is not always, and like he is definitely like, especially for the 30s, the idea of that working man's, very anti-plutocrat hero. I'm actually, when we get to the end, I'm gonna pitch 52 really quickly as well. So
All right, so we should
wrap up.
Push through it. Number 9, it's all right. Like a detective tries to find him out and he can't do it.
yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Then, number 10, another action crusade. He finds unfair treatment in a local prison, and then infiltrates the prison, gets evidence on.
In the meantime, it has
The
Clark
prison.
seem like a real jerk for turning over an anonymous source. Clark's
Yeah.
commitment to seeming like a coward
Journalism
very
ethics
deep.
is
is very deep because the guy who told him about the prison ends up going back to prison because Clark ratted on him because he had to, but not really. He could have anyway.
Anyway,
yeah.
he goes to the prison
messy.
to mess like this incredibly corrupt and abusive prison situation.
Yeah, and he kidnaps this governor to take him to the prison to show him. Who's the governor? Same one he kidnapped in Action Comics #1. And he's like, wait, again? Like, they even make that joke. Wait, what? Again? He's like, come with me, governor.
You're a shitty governor, man. You got to get back in there.
And then he wrecks like an oil company in Action Comics #11.
Yeah, that one's fun.
That one's like, whoa, all right, you just put a few people out of business. But this is the first time he uses X-ray vision, is in this one.
Ooh.
So Action Comics #11, first X-ray vision, and it's only one panel, and there's no animation for it. He's just like, he uses his X-ray vision to look, to spy on the men below. It's like, oh, I guess he just looks, and it's that easy. All right, cool. Action Comics #12, he crusades against bad driving in the city. Not Metropolis yet, by the way. Just the city, the
But he's
unnamed
already
city.
handled hit and runs. Cars are only 30 years
Yeah,
old. I don't
but
know.
he destroys cars in the lot for traffic violators. He visits a used car lot where he like destroys all the cars there because the guy uses bad cars. He destroys the Bates Motor Company and puts hundreds of men out of work. Then he threatens the mayor of the city to make the changes.
Yeah.
He's not a good dude. Like, he's doing it
I'm
for the
digging
right
it,
reasons,
he's
but
a mess. He's the hero we want.
But then, here's what's important about Action Comics #12. At the very, very end, the very last panel, advertisement for Batman next month in Detective Comics.
So
A brand new hero, Detective Comics.
I know we're running tight. I also want to mention, because there's not a lot of things I love that came out of the new 52 for DC. Like, a lot of it, I could take it or leave it. One of the things I really did like, and I wish this experiment had lasted longer, they didn't do it for long, but Grant Morrison, Rags Morales, and Andy Kubert got together and did a modern take on classic Superman. When they did Action Comics, the new 52 Action Comics, which was, if you kind of are curious about such a thing, was they reset Superman's power level to the original Superman.
I haven't read this since it came out in 2011, so I need to revisit this.
They reset it so he's leaping and he's got just very baseline powers and he has to run everywhere. They also bring him back into, like, this is one where he's literally jumping off a building to force a confession out of a corrupt industrialist.
Which we've already seen in Action Comics #2.
Yeah, it's I'm guilty. What do you want me to say? I use illegal cheap labor, no safety standards. I bribe city officials. I lied to everyone. And, like, the cops are shooting at him.
You know the deal, Metropolis. Treat people right or expect a visit from
like,
me.
literally, it's right out of those original 12. And, like, even down to the, always one of you wants to know if it's true what the Daily Planet says about me, right? And, like, stops the bullet with his hand. And is, like, literally, instead of flying away, he's just running away from the cops as they're shooting at him. And then the one thing they do here is they have Lex Luthor show up, which is really interesting.
Yeah.
But, like, saving people in tenements and he fights with a train and, like, oh yeah, it's this whole, and then, like, living as, like, a really poor student he's just starting to work at the Daily
pretending
Planet.
to be Harry Potter face.
Yes.
Yep.
It's the living in a crappy apartment in Metropolis.
But there are a few references to like the first 3 or 4 issues of Action Comics. Very loosely mentioned all throughout that comic, which is super fun.
Yeah, and they do a really good build for Lex Luthor in this too, which I quite like. So,
so we need to start wrapping it up. Do we want to do the topic right now?
Sure.
Yeah. Do we have it? Are we ready? Because I have a couple more things I want to say. I want to end on.
we'll do topic and then we'll
And then concluding thoughts.
I mean, like, yeah, unless there's anything else to say before.
No, nothing necessarily before the topic.
All right, we have a winning topic for this week on the Wednesday Club.
Okay.
This is the Wednesday Club. Every week we do a 5-minute topic that you all suggest. We have been talking all about the earliest Superman stories in 1938. So let's see what won today's, as selected by our wonderful producers. KB Tibbs says, you are tasked with creating your own superhero fruit pie advertisement. Describe the conflict, the players, and how fruit pies can save the day.
Oh.
We started off today with a wonderful gift from one of our viewers, which included Wonder Woman saving a bunch of astronauts using the power of Hostess fruit pies.
I mean, wow, this is such a gift.
You are tasked with creating your own superhero fruit pie advertisement. Describe the conflict, the players,
go
and
ahead.
how fruit pies
Am I going first
can
or you
save the
going
day.
first?
Go first. You go first.
Well, this one is an easy one, which is I've got a Miss Marvel one.
Great.
Since we've never done a Miss Marvel fruit pie ad, as far as I know. This is the trouble: is the Inhumans have lost Lockjaw. Lockjaw has gone missing, and no one knows where Lockjaw has teleported to, and so they basically just then have to start launching fruit pies to every planet in the known universe to slowly lead him back home, to know that there's a giant pile of Hostess fruit pies waiting for him at home. And they lure Lockjaw back to Earth using the power of Hostess fruit pies.
The teleporting dog.
Teleporting dog. Even dogs know that Hostess fruit pies are worth coming home for.
I love it. Do you have one? Because I have one.
Go with yours.
Go with yours.
Okay. So the rogues have attacked the not Coast City. We're
Central
City.
City. Yeah, thank you. The rogues have attacked Central City, and they've cut off the food supply to the entire city. And now Wally West and Barry Allen, they don't have the metabolic energy that they need to run at like nigh the speeds of light and to tap into the Speed Force. So like they can't beat the rogues because they don't have the glucose.
Oh no!
And the metabolism. We can't beat. Mirror Master. Heat Wave. But then they find a Hostess, or I can't say, maybe not, the fruit pie factory.
Unbranded fruit pies.
And they break in, and with their last remaining super strength, they eat all the fruit pies, and they get the sugary energy that they need to quickly defeat the rogues and reopen all the roads to let the food back into Central City.
Amazing. Okay, so I wanted to see like a wildly out of tone Hostess fruit pie ad, and so that would be that Hostess fruit pies are the key to Carter and Shiara Hall regaining their memories of each other.
Oh no.
Hawkman and Hawkgirl, who are perpetually reborn and perpetually separated by tragedy.
Why would you go there?
So in this incarnation, that whatever combination you want of who doesn't remember who, we'll say he doesn't remember her this time, even though they are perpetually reborn and torn apart by fate and destiny, except that the key is that she finds some Hostess fruit pies and waves them in front of his nose, and it reminds him of the fruits in the garden in a previous life that
Like
they
the Gardens
enjoyed.
of the Hanging Gardens of
the
Babylon.
Hanging Gardens of Babylon in a previous life that they had consumed together, and that taste sensation brings him back, and suddenly he looks into her eyes and they remember each other again, although they are not viciously murdered at the end of the Hostess fruit pie strip.
I have another one.
They
All right.
satisfy their longtime enemy with Hostess fruit pies.
What
I have one too. So
Okay, so the Spider-Man is fighting Absorbing Man.
Okay.
And like Absorbing Man, he is winning the fight.
Oh no!
Until Spider-Man sees a candy stand, and he grabs a fruit pie, unwraps it, and throws it at Absorbing Man, who catches it and quickly turns into a fruit pie.
Yes!
And then Spider-Man eats him.
Oh no! Wow.
Just his arm.
It went kind of ultimate right there.
That's more of a Venom, really. That's a Venom fruit pie ad.
Yeah, that's
really.
a Venom fruit pie ad.
Oh, you heard me. Arr.
That's pretty Venom.
Just like the wrist. Arr.
John
And then
Constantine.
they sit
And then it
down
looks like
together
he's
and
bleeding because
Absorbing
it's
Man,
strawberry or
Strawberry.
cherry.
but Absorbing Man laughs and says, can't understand. Who could resist the
Asgardian
taste of fruit
magic.
pies?
John Constantine.
Yeah.
In the depths of hell,
Yes.
fighting for his very mortal soul, attempting to make a deal with the demons of hell and iniquity, who are fighting to decide what his fate will be in hell, whether or not he will burn for eternity or be allowed to escape. And as they are making their final deal, John Constantine places a single fruit pie upon the table. The devil cannot resist. He must let John Constantine return to Earth, healthy and alive, untouched by the forces of chaos for now. And as long as he keeps delivering these wonderful fruit pies.
But Constantine doesn't get any fruit pies.
No fruit pies for Constantine. He must live alone.
Do you have another one? You don't
I-
have to. We only had to do one. We're just having fun.
No,
This
no,
is so
it's,
fun.
it's really, really fun.
I could do this all day.
You could do the
You
same
distracted
thing.
me
You
with
could do this.
Constantine, for
You
sure.
could do the same thing with Doctor Strange, and he goes into the dark dimension. You go, Dormammu, I've come to bargain, and he presents it with a fruit pie.
Yes!
Oh, I just want a whole series of Marvel movie ones of just Captain America. So, you've eaten all the Hostess.
So you've eaten all the fruit pies.
And we're out.
Oh, God.
This has been our 5-minute topic here
That
on
was
Wednesday
amazing.
Club, which you can watch every Wednesday on Twitch.tv/Geek and Sundry and Project Alpha. I'm Amy Dallen.
I'm Taliesin Jaffe.
And I'm Matt Key.
Stay
So
Enjoy delicious
enjoy
fruit
fruit pies. So here's what I want to end with. At the end of the first year, we do not have Metropolis. We do not have the Daily Planet. We do not have Jimmy Olsen. We don't have Flight. He's not flying. He's not even technically, like, he's bulletproof,
The
but
Flight comes in with the cartoons, right? Because it was too difficult
Flight-
to animate him bounding around.
ish.
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 You do not
One
have
account
kryptonite.
says.
We don't have kryptonite, but interestingly enough, there was a manuscript found 15 years ago in the vaults of DC called like the Mysterious K Metal or the Mystery of K Metal. And it was an old Jerry Siegel script from 1940 where K Metal is discovered. It's from Krypton. It weakens Superman, and Lois figures out that Clark Kent is Superman. And the editor, Whitney Ellsworth, was like, no, I don't want her to ever know he's Superman. That ruins the love triangle. No. And it was denied. Kryptonite didn't come around
Radio.
until
43.
55, Adventure Comics.
Oh, well, no,
no,
the
no,
comics.
that's Crypto, the dog.
Kryptonite.
49 in the comics, 43
ni-
in the radio play. The comics
Yeah.
inclusion is attributed to a woman I just found out exists named Dorothy Woolfolk, who I'm like wildly in love with. You got to read some Dorothy Woolfolk
Oh,
stories.
wow, I'm into it.
Yeah?
But continue.
Yeah, Superman number 61, it says here, for Kryptonite.
Mm-hmm.
But
the
6
K
years
Metal
earlier
from
on the radio
Krypton.
show. Yeah, there's some different stories about how it got invented for the radio show. They're all fun.
He didn't have heat vision.
Nope.
He started kind of getting.
Super breath?
Super Breath was Mort Weisinger era.
All
So
right.
that's like Silver Age, like late 50s, early 60s, Super Breath stuff. And even heat vision was never actually called heat vision. It was him using his X-ray vision, but like in
Focus.
changing the wavelength of it.
Sure.
It's how he shaves.
So he didn't
True.
have that.
It's true.
He didn't know Krypton. He didn't know his own origin until 1949. Couldn't fly until 1941.
Fortress of Solitude?
Fortress of Solitude. Let me see. I put that down
gotta
too.
be 50s,
Yeah,
right?
it's the very 50s.
Yeah, that's I know it's the 50s. I have Lex Luthor was Action Comics 23 in 1940.
Nice, pretty
Crypto
fast.
was 1955. Fortress of Solitude was 1958.
Nice.
Metropolis was Action Comics 16, 1939.
Nice.
And the very first supervillain, like this is sometimes pointed at as, no, this is the first comics supervillain, was the Ultra Humanite in Action Comics 13
Oh.
of 1939. So we went all the way to Action Comics 12. 1 month later, we get our first comics supervillain.
So and interesting. The name is a direct mirror, like Superman, Ultra Humanite.
Yep.
They're just like, but what if
And-
what bad?
And it was essentially the M. Night Shyamalan movie where like Bruce
Yeah,
Will-
Mr. Yeah.
it was Mr. Glass,
Yeah.
essentially. Hyper intelligent, has mental powers, but is weak, is like very weak, like very, very like
Yeah,
easy to break.
It was very unbreakable.
Yeah, unbreakable. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, but like Metropolis wasn't even there until September of '39, so over a year. for Metropolis. It wasn't
But
even
Lois
named.
was perfect immediately.
Yeah.
Well, Lois came out fully formed. It was
So,
not a problem.
This is the last night that you get Taliesin and me for a week.
We're off for a
Because
week.
we're off to Burning Man. I leave on
all
Friday,
you.
and you leave on Saturday. Mm-hmm. Mom and Dad, I promise I'll be safe. Because I know they're watching. Hi.
They are, and they were talking to Miss Sunflower earlier.
Oh, Miss Sunflower, you're talking
Stay
about Mom
tuned.
and
We
Dad.
have some amazing guests next week. Stay tuned to Twitter as I tell you what we're talking about. But you will love the some returning friend.
There's some great stuff
action.
happening.
Have a great time. We'll see you in 2 weeks when we have a very special guest as well.
Oh, I'm
what's
so
on
excited.
next? What are people
And
staying tuned
tonight,
for?
stay tuned for Weave. The second part of the fun click story we've been running.
Did you say weave?
Weave.
Weave?
Weave.
Weave?
Weave.
Weave?
Weave.
Weave?
Ready to show off your scarf. That's a perfect end.
We love you. Bye.
Goodbye, everybody. Look, you can say what direction.
See you
I'm
in a
going.
couple weeks. Well, she'll see.